That.
Yo. It's Grapsody with Will, Phil, and Reg, trying to keep it real instead of what you usually get from these talking heads. It's Grapsody, we're here to fill the void. 3 black fans, different perspective, gotta fill your voice. Coming with the podcast, talking majors, indies in between. Yeah, it's all that, and we're down with Fightful, better fall back. Coming for respect, we connect like a ball bat. No need to double check, these are all facts. You're listening to us talk raps. You're listening to us talk raps. Will, Phil, and Reg. Yeah, we're Grapsody, here to talk raps. Yeah, we're Grapsody, here to talk raps.
We're live. It's Saturday. It is April 8th, 2023, and this is Grapsody. And welcome to another edition of Grapsody. I'm Will Washington. Different setup than you're used to for me. I'll explain that in a second. But also here is Philip Lindsey.
I, like most people, are still coping with the fact that Roman is still champion and the company just makes bafflingly bad decisions. But we're
Yeah, we'll talk about that shortly. And also here is Righteous Reg.
Always in the building. It's your boy, Media Man, your favorite rapper, your favorite writer, your favorite podcaster. And I'm not surprised about any of that at all. It was just a big laugh. I had a bunch of hearty hearts all week, just thinking and seeing all the chaos going on. What a great time in professional wrestling right now. So much going on. There's heat on both sides. Some good, some bad, a lot bad on the other side. Yeah, we're going to get into it, just like you said. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, so like on the topic of the Roman thing, of course, Dave reported this week that was the plan all along. And
Dave.
and maybe it was. I know for a fact that certain people, including people in the match, were not informed of this until about 2 weeks before. I know, yeah. So there's that piece of it. And that was what Dave said. Dave said that, it was a decision that was held closely, but it was the plan all along, and that the important people who needed to know didn't know till recently. But as far as like the big people in creative, Hunter, Vince, Bruce Pritchard, all those guys, they had made the decision all along.
What a sick, sad world to live in, to like have your story but not know the ending. You're like, here's all the story, but we're not going to tell you the ending.
I mean, there's a few times that's done, because sometimes you do need your guys to like sell hard that they think they're gonna win, and and do whatever you can to like not let them boo-boo face this in any way, shape, or form. Like if they are even under the slightest impression that they're gonna win it, they're gonna sell hard, right? And then it's like as they get closer, like, okay, so just so you know, you're getting pinned. You might look a little stupid in the match, and
they're going to do the same exact finish they've been doing for the last 2 years. It's going to be a pretty regular Roman Reigns match. Yeah, have fun out there, bud.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I don't know, man. I've had an entire week to think about this, and I thought maybe that I overreacted when I saw it the first time, and I was like, no, this is stupid. No, I'm still here to tell you this is stupid.
Yeah, no, after hearing what went on SmackDown, it sounds like they didn't do anything. Like they didn't continue this story that everybody was saying that you have to write a Bible to get to.
Brian,
I mean, look, I enjoyed SmackDown this week. SmackDown was much better than Raw. And I have to say, folks, I was getting a lot of shit when I was like, sorry, I swore in the first few minutes. So,
wow.
Oops. But I know, sorry, YouTube. But actually, sorry, Fightful. But so I got a lot of grief, I should say, when every time there was a bad WWE thing, and I'd say, and everybody would go, oh, this means Vince is back. And I'm like, guys, slow down. Hunter can have bad shows. You know what it's like when Vince is back. And Monday should have been this, like, there is an absolute contrast to a Vince McMahon run show and a bad show that Hunter puts on, because a Vince McMahon run show, we saw what that looked like Monday. We saw, I mean, that was a show. That was, that.
I did not watch it. So.
This is sounding like something. This is sounding like something. Haven't they done this storyline before, but they're just doing it in real life now? They've done this, and they did the draft. Oh, I'm the guy over here. I'm the guy over here. Our shows are completely different because I'm doing this and then I'm doing this. This is kind of eerie.
That's right. The WWE Draft is coming back. That's right.
Yeah,
the WWE Drafts on my Twitter account are back that I don't post of all these things that I look at and like, yo, this is horrible. But if I post this, people will be mad at me. So the drafts are definitely back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's good.
All the way.
Yeah. But no, so, I think that Vince, they said it was basically classic Vince at Raw this week, that he was going around tearing up scripts, canceling segments in the middle of the segments. Nobody's for sure what happened, but there's that video of Seth Rollins being told something in the ring and then leaving, and because he just came out for his entrance and then didn't do anything after that, and something was said to Seth, and there's speculation that he was told, "Hey, we're just canceling that segment, though." But they were changing segments middle of the show. There were women's matches canceled. Like, this was classic Vince running the show. He came in and was like, "All right, I'm doing this." And so I think what's happening now, I think, is a little bit closer to what I believed was happening all along, which is on Friday, Vince was not at the show, but that he did kind of give the final say on the script, basically the show as the format as it was put together. He had the final word on it and made some small tweaks, but he was not there running the show. And I think that's probably what the case has been probably since like January, that it's had Vince's fingerprints on it, but for the most part Hunter was running the show. But Monday, Vince ran the show. Shout out to stealing jokes from Ibu, but it was a case of like, they sent Hunter out. Sent Hunter out to cut that promo. When he came back, Vince is just in the chair, and he's like, "Can I get my seat back?" And he's like, "Finders keepers."
Sick way to live.
I mean, you can see Vince's touches before this, like the stopping and starting of pushes. Like, I thought that was a big sign that he was back. I mean, the Bobby stuff had Vince written all over it. The Omos stuff had Vince written all over.
I mean, I'll say this. Has Hunter had a good track record with Bobby? And I say that in the sense that I feel like I've been confused Hunter's entire run of Bobby's disposition. I don't know if Bobby's a heel or a face pretty much the entire time Hunter's been there. It's been kind of a swap back and forth of like, okay, we need Bobby to do this, so he's going to act a bit heelish, but now he's going to do this and he's going to act faces. Which, like, don't get me wrong, I actually like ambiguity in professional wrestling. I will be the first to advocate for shades of gray, that people just being people. But on a show where that like kind of doesn't exist, I don't know. It doesn't feel like Bobby is a standout in that sense. It feels more like we just needed him to be doing whatever we needed him to be doing in this time period.
Oh, what is specifically I think a Vince thing with Bobby is his match all of a sudden getting canceled, and they just didn't even bother to book anything else. They just had him walk out there with a statue. That reeks of Vince. The stop and start push with Asuka reeks of fucking Vince. Like, it's very clear that he doesn't get Asuka. And like I said, it
never will.
It's clear as day that some of the stuff that Triple H wanted to do that got halted, it's Vince.
Yeah, I mean, well, so it sounds the way that Meltzer described it, and I think this is probably accurate, is that he said you got to look at Hunter in more of like a Bruce Pritchard type role, where like Hunter's got the final say. I mean, Vince has the final say. Vince is ultimately gonna receive drafts, receive the show formats, all of that stuff. It's like Hunter is obviously the head of creative. He is the guy putting things together, but Vince has to put the final stamp on it. And I think that's probably more accurate. But hey, folks, this is Grapsody. And for those of you who happen to be watching live, we got a couple ways you can interact with the show. First off, we want your super chats. Please donate a super chat. We love getting your super chats. They really help us keep this show going, and they really help support what we do here, and we always appreciate it. You could be like Deontay, who sent a super chat that says, patiently waiting, all caps, for my boys to come on. It's going down because y'all around, and the Guns lost their crowns. MJF segment had picking out my own casket, bastard. Much love, as always. Have a great day. Thank you, Deontay.
Appreciate you, Deontay.
And of course, you can also send us humper chats. Humperchats.com is the way to do that. And
we're not talking about the Guns. Nobody bring that up. We're moving on.
It's literally the graphic for this show. I literally tweeted that we're gonna get Reg's thoughts on this. What are you talking about?
I don't ever look at the graphic before we start the show.
Yeah. Boy, not to be inconsistent here, but I said many times heading into this podcast that I would feel a way if Asuka lost, and I am specifically now in the camp of Asuka should leave. She should leave that company. I hate her being there. I hate how they book her. She should leave.
Yeah, when you see, like, I watched Mercedes this morning before the show. When you see that going on, and you know that what Asuka's capable of, you're like, yeah, no, you got to get up out of there, homegirl.
Yeah, I am specifically sick of her losing every big match. I'm sick of it. At this point, it's just annoying. Like you book this woman to win the Rumble, loses the Mania match. Book this woman to win Money in the Bank, doesn't get a Money in the Bank cash in. Book this woman to win Elimination Chamber, completely repackage her, supposedly make her serious again, and then she just loses again anyway. What is the point?
It's I'd like to call it Eddie Kingston syndrome now. If you keep telling us this guy's a loser and then you have him lose, we're gonna eventually think he's a loser.
Yeah,
if you tell me he's a loser and show me he's a loser, and that's what's going on with Asuka. Like, well, she can win that match before the big match, but she can't win the big match. So it's like,
and you know what bothers me even more about it? I feel like they're now in this whole phase of booking for accolades, and it's very clear because Bianca is a month away from breaking Becky's record of being the longest reigning Raw Women's Champion. So that's probably why she won. But my thing is, stop doing that. Stop booking for accolades and fucking book for stories. Like, I don't know, man. And it did not surprise me at all because I talked to somebody the night of and they were like, oh, it depends on what Asuka will be doing next. I was like, Asuka will not be on the show Monday. And where was Asuka? Not on the show Monday.
Yeah.
We got some more chats. We got this one from Gabe. It says, on my way to Seattle and looking forward to seeing Wayne versus Swerve tonight. Should be a great match. On a basketball note, we love basketball notes because we'll be talking about those. Looks like we might get that Warriors and Kings first round matchup. And to that, I say go Dubs. Can't wait for the playoffs. #Graps. Thank you, Gabe.
Real tough one.
Yeah, this is it. This is the end of the regular season this weekend. And so I know the Nuggets got the Jazz today, and it probably will start before the show is over. So there's going to be a lot going down. And then the Nuggets' final game is actually against the Kings tomorrow. And then we got a break before the playoffs begin.
I'm definitely watching some basketball this weekend, baby. It's about to be lit. Everybody's balling out there like the fucking Suns. It's looking tough out here, man. There's some teams that at first you didn't think, like, because for a while Will was on here like Nuggets, but it's not,
Look, okay, I will say, as far as that Nuggets and Suns game was concerned, that was an extremely close game. For a game in which none of the Nuggets starters played. Jamal Murray did not play. Nikola Jokic did not play. Aaron Gordon did not play. They rested everybody. Now, was that kind of an intentional thing? Like, we don't want these niggas to lose to Kevin Durant, so let's... But
y'all can say it. It's fine. No, it's cool.
But the funny thing was, for the game to be that close, I mean, it came down to literally the end, and the Suns won by 4. But that was a game that was close all game long. It was like back and forth. It was first quarter 25-27, second quarter 30-29, third quarter 31-33, and finally in the fourth quarter 29-30. Like, so close. all game long. So I'm not willing to say, at least as far as that game was concerned, that's like the definitive proof that the Suns are better than the Nuggets. I can't say that because the Nuggets didn't play any of their starters.
8-0 was Durant. Mm-hmm.
I know.
That's pretty scary. This guy just putting up 30-point games in those last few and just shooting lights out.
Well, you know, that's the one of the NBA players with the most to prove all the time, like just scrutinized his entire career, every single day of his career. So he's like, if I go over to the Suns, I have to win. And so,
speaking of scrutinized guys, I feel like the last week or so was a pretty good week for Westbrook and the LA Lakers making this guy out to be a problem. Not only did he demolish the Memphis Grizzlies, but then these guys came back and beat the Lakers. It felt like the Clippers made it a point to beat the Lakers for Russell Westbrook.
Snoop was mad.
Oh, it was great. I mean, 11-0 against the Lakers in their last games. Clippers own the Lakers at this point.
Yeah, they do.
I'd like your thoughts on Isaiah Thomas real quick before we get up.
Listen, Zeke got to stop capping, bro. And I mean, I said this on Twitter. I think that the guy is one of the best players to come out of the city. Top 5 point guard of all time for sure.
Yes.
But stop all this capping. Stop all this, hey, well, you know, I want my respect, and, you know, I didn't expect to be bombarded with negativity. Bro, your entire career is negativity.
Oh, every time I hear him
every time you come up to talk about anything, it's negativity in there, bro. Like, especially when it comes to Jordan. And I just think the fact that after all this time, you're still making excuses for not shaking this guy's hand. And the way that you did not shake Mike's hand, it isn't just that you walked past him after the game was over. Fam, you sheepishly walked past this guy before the game was even over.
Yeah.
Nah. Mike shook your hand every time that you lost, every time they lost to you, even though you guys were cheating and playing dirty. But as soon as they beat you, and not just beat you, beat your asses the fuck out the gym, swept your asses 4 games in a row. You couldn't even shake his hand. Nah, I don't want to hear no more excuses about that, bro. Nah, you ain't owe no public. You ain't owe no public apology because Mike called you an asshole on Last Dance. Because guess what? You are an asshole. Sorry.
Speaking of which,
yes,
Wednesday, Phil, it's do or die. You got the Bulls and the Raptors play-in tournament. How are you feeling?
I don't know. I don't think the Bulls should even be in the playoffs, to be honest, because they haven't been that good this year. I think they're probably going to beat the Raptors if I had to guess, because the Raptors aren't very good. But even if they don't, you're playing for the opportunity to play the Bucks and lose in the first round.
Right.
So, do they really matter?
I mean, hey, you get to see, hopefully, 4 to 5 games.
4 games. Come on, let's be serious.
I won't go that far. I'll give him a chance in Chicago, like in the United States.
In Chicago, okay, yeah. I'm not mad at it.
I mean, I think the funnier story coming out of the East is after all of that the Brooklyn Nets are still in the playoffs. And the Mavs didn't even make the playoffs. People made that big to-do about Kyrie going to Dallas and how that was going to help Dallas. Dallas didn't even make the playoffs. Dallas lost pretty pathetically to the Bulls this week, and I was just like, I don't know, man. Might be time to retool. But
again,
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. If you're Durant, you got to be looking around like, all right, well, it wasn't me. I think it's pretty clear it wasn't me why we weren't winning. I almost single-handedly took this team to the finals. If my toe wasn't on the line, I would have went to the finals with Brooklyn. Right. It wasn't my fault. So
yeah. And then as far as Wayne versus Swerve tonight, I think that is a match that will have very important implications going forward. And that is the most I will say on that.
Watch this match, man. The first match was crazy. One of the best matches of last year. Like Swerve showed that, like, no, I'm back. I'm out here. And Nick Wayne was incredible. The year that Nick Wayne has had since then, to know that he's grown so much in just 1 year and to know what he could put together, both these guys could put together for this match, it's going to be insane.
The match they did last year, I think, was a good showcase of what Swerve can bring to the table as a heel. And I think that, we're just going to see a lot there. I know it's been talked about, but I mean, Nick Wayne is really right around the corner from his AEW debut. And
this is very interesting considering this match that they just announced last night with Swerve and Darby Allin.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that here shortly. I have that here in our topics list, but I want to read a few more. Black Phoenix Brand says, happy Grapsody, fellas. Thank you. I may be in the minority, but them not putting the title on Cody at Mania has made everything about Cody, Sammy, and the Bloodline, and the Sammy KO and the Bloodlines less special.
Not in the minority at all.
I don't think you're in the minority here. All the way to last night, I was sitting watching it, and I was like, all right, this all feels like we are just like in a time machine. It just feels like we just went back 2 weeks. Like none of the stuff in the last 2 weeks happened.
No, when known WWE employee Ryan Satin was like, nah, they tripping out here. That's when I was like, all right, they really are tripping out here.
Ryan was like, maybe things would be a little bit fresher if Cody was champion. And I was just like, yeah, maybe this Sammy segment would have made more sense where Sammy was like, hey, man, everything I told you was going to happen happened. The bloodline's crumbling. Like, nah, don't look like the bloodline's crumbling, buddy. They just helped this guy win a championship on Sunday. I think they're fine.
Like the mission statement of the bloodline is for Roman to be world champion and you guys to help him. That's what they did. They didn't do anything different than they haven't been doing.
If anything, it's closer to the initial statement of, you guys are here to help me. Oh, y'all don't have belts? Oh, that sounds like a problem. I still got my belts. Help me.
Yes, exactly.
Lift me up.
We got a few more. We got, let's see. There's Shot Kid says, Grapsody, is it possible AEW and Warner Brothers Discovery have reached a deal for a TV streaming and All In will be the first pay-per-view style show under the deal? Cole did drop that 100 years of Warner Brothers Discovery line on Dynamite during the announcement. That's a lot of speculation from people. I think it...
Where is this Warner Brothers deal stuff coming from? Is this just people pulling this out of the air?
So Warner Brothers Discovery is going to announce the new streaming service, the Max, all the details around Max, like next week. Okay. And so some people are wondering if All In has anything to do with that. I don't know that it does. So All Out is happening as normal. All Out's going to happen Labor Day weekend. In Chicago. It's going to be at the United Center, and it is going to be a standard traditional pay-per-view on Bleacher Report like all the others have been. And so that begs the question of, are they doing All In and All Out back-to-back as pay-per-views? And I think it's pretty safe to assume not. Just thinking about the fact that every other AEW pay-per-view announcement has included the pay-per-view details immediately. Forbidden Door, they announced Toronto, and then right after it says, and then the pay-per-view will be available on Bleacher Report.
Right.
And Double or Nothing, same deal. But this here has no announcement as far as where the show is watchable. And so that's leading people to wonder, what could this mean? Is there a new place it's going to be? Is it just going to be a TV special? Who knows? But at the moment, All In does not sound like it's going to be distributed the same way All Out is 1 week later. So it's all speculation at the moment. There's speculation in the company as far as that's concerned. And who knows what that actually turns out to be. I think we'll find out soon enough. We're still a month away from
pretty
tickets.
Far out from all this stuff. So everybody's just kind of, I think people are just kind of hoping for things with the streaming service. People just want that thing to happen so bad. So they're just like, is it going to happen? Is it going to happen?
Right. So there's a lot of talk right now over All In, and the fact that the announcement was, and I had heard a couple of hours before the show that it was going to be at Wembley. No, I heard the day before. I heard that the Tuesday was when I heard that it was going to be at Wembley. Now, my assumption when I heard Wembley was, oh, that must mean Wembley Arena. They don't mean Wembley Stadium.
No, that sounds crazy.
Yeah, that sounds crazy. Wembley Stadium, 90,000 people. No, they mean Wembley Arena. It's a standard arena. That makes sense. And even still on Tuesday, everybody kept saying Wembley, Wembley, Wembley. And I'm like, okay, but this clearly means Wembley Arena. And even when I had talked to Denise about it, I was like, yeah, I think it's going to be Wembley Arena. And then I got the date like an hour before Dynamite, and I was like, wow, a week before All Out. That's interesting. To run 2 arena shows like that. And then again, even when Adam Cole said Wembley Stadium,
even when he said it, in my brain, it went to the arena because I was like, there's no way they're talking about the stadium with 90,000 people in it. My brain went to the arena first.
Like SummerSlam 92 is still one of the coolest visuals in the history of professional wrestling. Like there's even as, you know, WWE has run multiple other stadiums since then, even as they've had crazy cool stages, there's still nothing like just a giant sea of people. Yeah. And it's still one of the coolest visuals they've ever done. And so they did announce Wembley Stadium. Now, do I think AEW is going to sell 90,000 tickets? No.
I wouldn't think so.
But have I been proven wrong a million times with every single, to shout out to the, with the Tiger Style videos, but that video that says, you know, the whole All In, can AEW or can the Bucks and Cody sell 10,000 tickets? No. And then it turns out, yeah, they did. And then it was like, oh, well, can they sell at the United Center? No. And then they did twice. And then it's like, oh, well, can they sell at Arthur Ashe Stadium? No. And then they did. And so on one end, I suppose doubting all of this is certainly proven wrong over time. So I'm not willing to definitively say no, because here we are 4 years into a company that's consistently kind of knocked those expectations down. But I will say that if they're able to pull off, say, even 50,000, because again, I think there's ways you can make that look good. Look at SummerSlam last year. SummerSlam looked great last year, right? In Nashville. It was only half the stadium. The other half literally had the SummerSlam logo tarped across the entire other half of the stadium, and that was it. They only used half the stadium for SummerSlam last year. Look good. There's ways you can shoot that. Yep. You probably won't be able to get that giant aerial shot, but you'll be able to do some stuff to make it look good. So I think there's ways to make that look great. But
that would be the biggest AEW show by far if they put up 50,000 people.
I mean, I'll give you another milestone, Reg. Do you know what the biggest number a lone advertised WCW show ever pulled off?
I'm guessing the Georgia Dome.
You're correct, and that was about 41 to 42,000. Was the biggest they ever pulled off. So that would, if they pulled off over 41,000, would be the largest non-WWE show produced by an American wrestling company
ever.
Yeah.
I think it's a cool announcement. I saw everybody was like, oh, there's no way they're going to sell out the stadium. Listen, it's not my business to know if they're going to do that. Again, I am not a numbers guy. I've made that very clear. I don't really care if they sell out the stadium. I just think it's cool. I do think it's really cool. I do think it's very interesting that the timing of these things, me asking that question and then watching the gears turn in Tony's head when I asked, and I was like, oh yeah, he's got something planned. I knew, I know when he answered. I was like,
I think it was funny that his facial expression when you said All In, and like Tony has a good poker face sometimes, and sometimes he'll do that eyebrow thing. But when Phil said All In, and you see the gears turning in Tony's head, and we're like, why that event did you just bring up, Phil? Of all events to bring up, why'd you bring up All In?
Phil, what do you know?
I knew when he came and he had that look on his face. He was like, "That's an excellent question." I was like, "Yeah, he's got something. I just didn't know when." But I think it's a good idea to use All In again now that you have the rights to the library, and it is the 5-year anniversary coming up. So it is a good idea to do something to commemorate it. And I think this is a good sign. I hope they use All In for something else next year as well.
Yeah, I mean, the All In is his name now. You know, he, as I talked about this on Ask Grapsody, but the original trademark of All In was registered in May of 2018, I believe, by the Young Bucks and their DBA Killing the Business Inc. And that's the original trademark that was applied to All In. They owned it. In 2020, they turned that trademark over to Tony Khan. So he's had All In as a name since 2020. I don't know if money exchanged hands for that. I assume so, because
I would think so.
Yeah, I assume Tony bought that, but there's no way I can prove that. The only thing I can prove is that the name went from, you can see in 2020, it moved from Killing the Business Inc. to All Elite Wrestling.
You think they about to let a billionaire son have a thing for free? Hell no. Gotta cake me up, homeboy.
Yeah,
This does add though to the speculation around everything for the last few months, that it seemed like they were planning to bring a certain somebody back, and the timing of All In and trying to fill out that big of a stadium. It does seem like now that report is kind of true.
Yes,
I would think the homeboy would have to be on the card for sure.
And even if he's not on that card, I mean, a week later they're also trying to hit the United Center. And they've sold that arena out twice, but I am of the belief that both times were centered around CM Punk. Even when people say Forbidden Door, Punk wasn't on that card, people didn't know that when they bought the tickets. People fully thought that he was going to be defending the AEW World Championship at Forbidden Door. That was the understanding and the idea everybody had in their heads when they bought those tickets in Chicago.
Yeah, which is why
so they.
I think part of the reason it's in Toronto this year, because I think Kenny's going to have a big match on that card.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they've ever tried to fill United Center without thinking Punk would be there. And even if he wasn't there the second time, the tickets went on sale with him around. So I agree with that. So it is interesting, though, because a stadium show, really, in any regard, just thinking about how little that's been attempted outside of WWE. And I've said a million times, I'm not a fan of stadium shows. I hate attending them. Phil probably had a good time at WrestleMania. I cannot stand stadium shows. It's too many people. I think it drives my anxiety up a wall to be at stadium shows, and I prefer an arena. I live in arenas, right? I go to basketball games all the time. On the other hand, I've maybe been to 3 NFL games in my life. But other than that, you could count, I don't know, thousands of basketball games, probably not thousands, but I've been to a lot of basketball games because I love the arena experience. I love how much easier it is to get a chant going. And it feels like the sound experience to me is better because the sound doesn't travel out. It travels in. And so I prefer the arena. But I know that stadiums are a milestone thing, and they are an accomplishment for sure.
Yeah, I mean, WrestleMania was a good time. For first WrestleMania, can't have too many complaints. Night 2 had its weird decisions, but I felt like Night 1 was really good. I thought
Night 1 was very good. I think Night 1's an all timer. To be honest,
I liked it.
Only thing I hated on Night 1 was Cena and Theory. I think that
Sleeper.
I hate that match more. I hate that match more every time I think about it. Not just the result, but the ending. John Cena, just as Reg was alluding to, being the loudest man on planet. It was a running gag for a long time that Cena was just really loud with ring chatter, and he's the worst at telegraphing what's coming.
We can see you and hear you, John Cena. I know you got the whole can't see me thing, but we can see and hear you when you're calling spots, dude.
I always think about the ending to WrestleMania 24, or the match, the Cena, Triple H, and Orton match, and the finish where Cena takes a pedigree, and then after the pedigree, the move that was supposed to take Cena out, that's the move he was pinned by, but he couldn't help but then turn his head and look off to see if Randy Orton's ready for the next spot. And Randy Orton then punched Triple H, and then Cena's like, okay, now I can be knocked out. And I'm like, oh my God, stop it. That's just John Cena in those matches. But the thing is, that Theory match, I think, originally I walked away from it and I was just like, that was a match. It wasn't remarkable at all. And then I thought, but this was a match that was supposed to put over Theory in so many ways, and I felt by the end of it didn't. And I say that because, like, obviously beating Cena at WrestleMania on paper is a big deal. And as long as we can think about it on paper, that's an accolade. But that's like the way Cena's lost on Raw a million times with like the whole Cena had him beat. He tapped him out to the STF. And then Cena's like, oh, I won? Oh, what's this referee doing over here? Let me just wake him up over here and then get low blowed and then hit with a whack finisher. And so, like, we've seen that. That's how Carlito beat John Cena. Like, that's not to say that really anybody has ever benefited from that finish with John Cena. And that's the issue I have there is that there have been plenty of times Cena has legitimately put guys over and it has benefited them greatly. Kevin Owens is my favorite example of that. AJ Styles. Those are times that they put somebody over John Cena. And
that's the last time John Cena had fun because he's been sleepwalking through all these appearances that he's had.
He had fun with Bray at WrestleMania 30.
Oh, get out of here. Leave this podcast right now.
He had a blast. He got to go and dress up as Hollywood Hulk Hogan and all these other things.
And only take 3 bumps. Yeah, it was a great time.
He had a blast in that match.
Cena, stay at home, dude. Be the peacemaker. Fast number 19. We're good. We like that stuff. This WWE stuff, awful. Stop.
Speaking of which, I watched, I don't know how, but I, after a workout yesterday, that's what it was. I like kind of laid down on the couch and I turned the TV on and it was on TNT and I'm like, whatever. I got stuff to do tonight, so I'm just going to take a nap here. I ended up watching Fast 5 on TNT. And then after that was over, for whatever reason, Fast 7 came on and it confused me for a second because I'm like, that's a really big jump that they just made. And I was struggling to recall if this was Fast 6 or not, but I'm like, it can't be Fast 6 because of the way Fast 5 ended. And then in Fast 7 at the very beginning, they're just like, oh, look, it's Letty. And I'm like, no. Why would you play these in that order? You literally just jumped the whole movie. Anyway, I said all this to say, I love Fast and Furious movies. Those movies are fucking great.
That's where you were going with this?
I don't give a fuck what nobody says. I know people are like, oh, end this series. No. And they're like, oh, the series. They're like, the series has lost its way over the last few years. No, the series gained its way, all right? I don't want no damn street racing movies. I want these movies to go to space. I want them to bring aliens into these movies. I want them to bring all of that shit.
It's not 2001 anymore, dude. It's not about street racing. It's about fucking flying a Camaro in space. You never had me. You never had your spaceship.
Yeah, when people say, nah, these movies stopped being about street racing. Good. All right, these movies got great when The Rock came in and you started having enhanced super soldiers and memory loss and all of that shit. When you went over the top, that's when these movies got good. Fast 5, hot take, Fast 5 is the first good one.
You know, The Rock be talking a lot in like Young Rock and all this about like how he was held down, not a prima donna and all these things. But he just comes and changes every franchise that he's a part of. Every franchise he's a part of is The Rock. At first it was like, oh no, he's a side character on Fast and Furious. And then now it's like, he is Fast and Furious.
I mean, he came in and he jobbed in that first movie to Vin, even though it made no sense for him to lose to Vin Diesel in that
That's
movie.
Probably what he said too, I'm sure, to the script writers.
Yeah. But on Austin,
that's probably why he came in and was like, all right, I just lost in Fast and Furious. I need to beat somebody. Hey, Vince, I'm coming in to beat John Cena.
Baby, I don't know.
Hilarious.
Yeah, on Austin Theory thing, I don't think it bothered me as much, because I didn't expect it to be this great match. My expectations weren't high to begin with. But I did sit there for a second and go, man, Austin Theory really, like, kind of made us think he was going to have this showing by beating this guy fairly. And he was going to beat these allegations that he gets everything by shortcuts. And then he just took a shortcut again. I was like, hey, man.
Didn't Kevin Owens say, don't do this?
Hey, man, great heel move, in my opinion. Because I was like, hey, he kind of flipped what everybody thought he was going to do and just cheated again. And so I guess personally, I'm looking at it like, I think Theory right now is so much better than he was months ago. That I can live with it. Do I think it was a great match? No. Do I think that this means Theory is next up? Absolutely not.
No.
But I do think that he's a much better character than he's been on the
For
main
sure,
roster.
I agree with that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's been doing some of his best work. I think somebody needs to help him out with that beard.
And that finish, his finish sucks. Oh my god, that whatever it is, like that's a transitional move, bro. That's not how you beat people in matches.
That is not a good finish at all.
So bad.
I'm begging anybody who's taking it to just like land on your feet.
Yeah. You can get right out of there, dude.
You could get right out of it if you just stand up.
I hate it.
Yeah, but no. Otherwise, after that, like night one was just like bam, 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 bam. It was like that tag match.
That tag match was crazy.
Tag match was crazy.
Star Press was nuts. Yeah, that was dope.
Yeah. No, I honestly, I think that the main event. I agree with 5-starring that. I gave it my best of the week on After the Week last week. I think that's an all-time WrestleMania ending.
That's everything pro wrestling is about right there. Like every element that you would want for a great story, a great match, a great finish, great crowd, great tributes, like everything. Yeah. 5 stars all around. Amazing.
Absolutely. I thought it was, I even kind of tear up at the idea of thinking about how, the Usos have, probably grew up wanting to be professional wrestlers and saw themselves as a tag team.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's anybody on earth who saw themselves as a tag team, who knew that their future was as a tag team, and saw themselves main eventing WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that doesn't even
tag
sound
teams
right.
don't do that, especially them who were held off so many WrestleManias, couldn't even get on the card. So imagine going from not being able to get on the show to being able to main event the show.
Like even thinking about KO and Sami Zayn and the idea that the two of them probably said to each other, hey, we'll main event WrestleMania one day. Mm-hmm. But at best, that probably meant against each other. Yeah. Not fathomable that it would be together as a team in the main event of WrestleMania, getting a big finish. I thought, those back-to-back-to-back haluva kicks follow, like that was such a satisfying conclusion. And just them celebrating with the belts, crowd singing Sammy's theme.
Dude,
I think that's up there with Bryan. That's an all-timer ending to WrestleMania.
I watched those guys do this down the street in a very tiny place, Reseda, California. I watched these guys do what they just did at WrestleMania in front of 400 people. And I don't even know, like what you said, I don't even know if it's true, because I think for a long time Kevin Owens was like, I'm never going to talking to Kevin Steen. It's like, I'm not going to be in WrestleMania. Never going to be in the WrestleMania main event.
Man,
hella people told him,
shout out to Kevin Owens. Main eventing WrestleMania 2 years in a row.
2 times in a row.
And one of them was with Stone Cold Steve Austin.
That's crazy. Stone Cold, the person that he saw in the airport and asked, hey, do you have advice for me, Mr. Stone Cold? And Stone Cold said, keep talking that shit. And he talked that shit all the way up into a match with him. And then next year, with his best fucking friend, he main evented and won the WWE Undisputed Tag Team Championships. Like, that just sounds crazy to me.
And I love
tribute to the PWG on their tights and everything. This was just like a perfect moment. Beautiful stuff.
Shouting out the Briscoes in the press conference afterwards.
Oh man,
especially after we seen Mark just spill his guts the night before in the press conference.
But he was making me cry in that press conference. I'm sitting in the back row. I'm sitting in that back row. If you guys haven't seen Mark Briscoe at the Supercard of Honor media scrum, my God,
get me out of here.
I'm not a religious guy whatsoever, but I recognize what it does for individuals and when they need it, and the question of how he can remain in such good spirits around the death of his brother, and the way he talked about it, man, it got me really good. I started to raise my hand for a question, and I'm like, do I want to ask that? I don't know if I want to ask, because the question I had in mind. So Mark Briscoe had talked about how in Jay's final days, Jay was fairly at peace because they knew they were working Supercard of Honor. They were literally on the poster for Supercard of Honor, but they had no idea who they were facing. And there's a piece of me that wanted to ask Tony, what did you have in mind? Because I know you, Tony.
He definitely
may
had
not
that written out somewhere or in his
yeah,
brain.
you know, I know that Tony's not one to necessarily tip his hand, but you know, that notepad of his has everything that he's got planned out for the future.
Yeah.
And I was curious. I wanted to know. You know, he did reveal on the call the day before that he had Will Ospreay in mind, and then we kind of broke the news that that the person Will Ospreay was going to face at Supercard of Honor was going to be Konosuke Takeshita. And so that's a huge one, right? And so like we know Tony Khan had matches planned for Supercard of Honor that for one reason or another didn't materialize, and there was a piece of me that was like, do I want to ask that, or is this not the right place? And ultimately I was like, it
wasn't the right
I'm
place.
like, not the right place.
Yeah.
But I would have been curious to know what Tony Khan did have in mind for the Briscoes going into Supercard of Honor.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. As far as trips, I felt like LA was pretty amazing. Like I just feel like
Oh, of course you would feel that way.
No, LA was
you ain't get toilet water in your phone. You ain't get stuck there an extra day. Sorry.
And we about to beat them allegations because Phil was at WrestleMania. He was down on the floor and he was in the presser. Them allegations are beat, baby. WWE, AEW shields no more, baby. We on the other side. What's up? What y'all got to say?
Listen, I spoke about goals that I have this year. I spoke about my mission statement going into LA and what I am attempting to do.
You executed, boy. You was outside.
I'm close.
And your interview with Ariane, how was that? You was outside too? Your little WrestleMania review.
That picture, by the way.
Oh, God.
I
was on the floor.
Listen, one of my big beliefs in everything that I do is just be yourself. Don't be what anybody else wants you to be. Don't do what everybody else is doing. And so when I was standing there afterwards, DS was like, yeah, he wanted to do like the Funkadactyls pose, and so Ariane was like, well, we can't all three do it. And I was like, just do it. I got it. I'll react to you guys doing it. And so
I was worried you were going to be Brodus Clay in that sense, and I'm glad you chose something else.
Thank you for choosing another route.
And it worked out. But no, Ariane was great. I thought getting to review WrestleMania with her was awesome. Getting to review it in LA and do that live was awesome. That was part of the reason that I wanted to stay till Monday, because DS was just like, what are you doing Monday? Can you do this review with me? And I was like, dude, I'm going home Saturday. And so he was like, I'll just stay till Monday. And this was before, I had made plans to go to WrestleMania. So that was part of the reason I stayed in LA till Monday. But no, it ended up being a really good trip. It's very rare that most of my friend groups get to interact like that and intersect, and just getting to see so many people. Man, the amount of people that showed love is just like immeasurable, man. Like the amount of just fans that stopped and said hello, the amount of other media people that I saw that were just like super excited to see me, or I was excited to see them. The amount of friends that I don't get to see all the time that I got to see in person, like it was great.
I know WrestleMania week is always a big like family reunion type deal, and it's always great. Yeah, it's Friends Week. And that's what makes WrestleMania week always worth it. I always say I didn't have a great experience, but the people always make it great. But look, for me, it rains when it rains, it fucking pours, and that's what I was going to talk about with the change in my setup, because part of the reason, and I tweeted about this, that my setup has changed, and I had some people compliment it. They were like, actually, you should keep it that way. But the reason it's changed is because I had my water heater go out, and it didn't just go out, but it just decided to spring a leak, and there's water. There was water everywhere. It's still in the process of being cleaned up. But as a result, I had to move the arcade and move these shelves, so they're all moved closer to this shot. But I did have somebody tweet that they were like, actually, I kind of like the arcade and the shot, and I kind of like seeing the game behind you, and you should change the game out every week. So this time now I have Street Fighter 2. It's going to come across. Ready? Turbo! And that's specifically the Japanese version of Street Fighter 2 Turbo. So the ways you'll notice the difference is when you see M. Bison get highlighted and it says Vega, or you see Balrog get highlighted and it says M. Bison, or you see Vega get highlighted and it says Balrog. That's because of their original Japanese names, which is always interesting to me, right? Because like the whole controversy around changing their names was that the character we know as Balrog was named Mike Bison, but they thought that was too close to Mike Tyson because he was based off of Mike Tyson, and they named him Mike Bison, and that was
It's the blood version of Mike Tyson, Mike Bison. Gang banging.
and so they were like, we can't do that. That could get us sued. So like literally a boxer named Mike Bison is way too close.
They would have came for that money.
So they were like, all right, let's just swap some names around. So the character we know as Mike Bison is Lord Vega in Japan, but they were like, all right, so he's now M. Bison, even though thinking that character's name is Mike Bison like weirds me out sometimes.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, then actually we're going to make the boxer Balrog, which then leaves our cage fighter as, I guess, now he's Vega. And so that's the story behind that change for those of you who don't follow Street Fighter. But the interesting thing is that the American name stuck everywhere else in the world. So literally it's just in Japan that those characters have those names, which are their original names because it's a Japanese game.
Right.
But literally everywhere else in the world, it's those. But yeah, I'll keep changing the game out. Maybe I will keep the arcade there. It's a pretty good shot there. But really, it's just because I've had another water mishap in my house. This is like the fifth, and I asked my plumber, I was like, why do I keep having all these water issues? Is there something overall I should be looking at? And he goes, tell me what the issues are. And I told him each one, and he goes, nah, those are all unrelated, dog. He's like, there. He said, you're just having a string of bad luck, honestly, because he's like, I could check your water pressure, and he did. And he's like, but your water pressure's fine. It's all the same. He's like, everything is correct. You're just having a string of bad luck all around the same time.
Damn.
So, because the last thing I had was a pipe burst when it flooded this basement, and I just had my drywall replaced. I just had new carpet put in. All of this is brand new. So for it to be fucked up again and to have to be out, folks, please send in your super chats.
Yes.
I just did some mental math. This last week, between the WrestleMania thing, my phone thing, and the water stuff, I'm out $5,000 this week.
Oh my!
So it's not a great week right now. And
I'd be on my way to Mia's house right now if I was out $5,000. I'm staying, Mom. Get my bed ready because that's crazy out here.
Yeah, I'm out $5,000 between. This has been not a great week for
life is crazy.
Yeah, stuff like this. So
send in your super chat, your humper chat.
So get us those super
smiles,
chats.
All the
shit.
I mean,
look, and I've said this to you in person. Hey, I understand it does suck that you didn't get to go home, but man, would that Friday have been the same if you went home?
It would not have been the same if you had been home.
No. And honestly, I will say this. It's probably the kindest thing I will say on a show that she's not on because when she's on them, I'm going to be mean. But shout out Denise for making the trip easier because having somebody who lives in LA, who at multiple times I was like, look, I can get a hotel. I'm happy to get a hotel. And she's like, no, stay. You stay here. You're good. I'm like, are you sure? And granted, I woke up in a shrine to Taylor Swift, but that picture is legit. That's where I woke up. And you look around and it's just like Taylor Swift everywhere. I'm like, I'm gonna remember that. If anybody ever needs to stay in Denver, y'all are waking up in the shrine to Mariah Carey.
Shout out to my homie Henry too for putting me up in LA. I have so many friends, great things going on. Los Angeles is just cool. Everybody's super cool. They were cool the entire time. People coming up to me. Phil and I had some very wild conversations about people being like, your tweets. One said I tell my staff not to, but you guys just keep going for it. I'm like, yeah, no, we be tweeting.
No, the direct quote was, hey, enjoy your podcast, enjoy your Twitter fights. So yeah, direct quote. But look,
One guy said, "Hey Reg, I really love your tweets. They're very honest." And then he just walked off. I was like, "Okay."
hey,
If all I have to do is be real and be me, that's great. That's what people were telling me all week. You're so honest. You're this. I can't believe you get to tweet what you want. I'm like, is everybody not? Are people faking on the internet?
It ain't honest.
There are people faking on the internet, dude. That's crazy.
Don't
That's
let
not
me
a
get
white
into
way to
people
live.
being dishonest and putting on fronts. There's people out here that's being dishonest. But
oh yeah, no, I was told directly by somebody who is incredibly dishonest that they are a dishonest person.
That I'm dishonest. I'm being dishonest. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. And so that was whatever. Look, that just came up. No, I'm just gonna say that just came up on Twitter yesterday, and I'm like, I don't need to get into any of that, but
yeah, it is what it is. But like I said, LA was great. Got to see a lot of friends. Got to hang out with my guy Reg almost every day.
Hey, some Roscoe's. That Roscoe's was crazy.
Roscoe's was crazy. Shout out to my boss E-Ball hanging out with us for the last few days as well. Got to see a lot of great wrestling. Listen, man, the only thing that sucked about you not getting there in time, Will, is that you missed that Vikingo Commander match in person, because that was amazing.
I've been dreaming.
Yeah, I watched a lot of the card. You know what I ended up doing? So I watched Supercard of Honor when I found out I was going. Like I said, I texted a friend at AEW when I got stuck at the airport. I was like, all right, I'm going to the show. And so I ended up getting to go to said show. And when on my way there, the Uber said it's going to be like still 45 minutes till I get there. And I'm like, damn, I'm going to miss a lot of the show. So I pulled the show up on my phone and I was watching it on my phone on the way. So I started watching like right around the end of the Commander match, Commander and Vikingo. And then I did see like the women's match and I saw the 6-man tag on my phone. No, I watched it on my laptop. I watched it on my laptop and it was funny because my Uber driver's like trying to talk to me, and I got these headphones in, and I'm like, I'm really trying to watch this show.
You know what's dope? What we were up there in the box with not the box, but the press place with Denise was sitting next to us. Watching Denise watch Mexican wrestlers is like watching me watch black wrestlers. So it's like such a great experience because she's extra hype. Like she likes all the wrestling. Denise likes wrestling as fuck. But when there's Mexican wrestlers, when the Lucha Bros are doing their thing during the ladder match, she's like, yeah, she's on fire, man. That shit. Good times, man. Good times up there.
No, man, just great wrestling, man.
Yeah, that ended up being mostly a great night. Like, obviously, I did not plan on being stuck in LA. And for anybody wondering, because I did get some questions about that, how was my daughter's performance? It was good. It was real good. I have some feelings about it, but
this ain't the platform for it.
Actually, kind of is. It can be. Look, no, because I already said this. I already said this on After the Week. My daughter did not get the lead role in that. She auditioned for it and didn't get it.
See what this is.
But I'm gonna say, and I know this is probably a biased parent saying this, I think she didn't get the lead role because she's not white. And
here we go.
And before anybody picks a bone with that, the lead role in that in it was Wednesday. Obviously, it was the Addams Family. And after I heard the kid who got it singing, I thought, nah, Veda killed those songs. Like I've heard Veda sing those a million times, and I thought, nah, Veda sang those better. I think there's like trying to just look at it objectively. I thought Veda sang it better, but casting for Wednesday Addams, I think that they went with somebody who looks more like Wednesday Addams, which obviously my daughter doesn't look like Wednesday Addams, but I think they went for somebody who looks more like Wednesday Addams, despite who actually had the better singing voice and dancing ability. And so I watched it, and there's a piece of me that was just like a little miffed. I'm like, Veda still did good, and I'm really proud of her, and I'm really proud of her for still taking the role she got and owning it. But I think she would have owned Wednesday there. I think, like, look, I'd have put some pale makeup on her and put her in a black wig. We'd have pulled that off. But that is just
like
how I
that.
felt about it coming out of it.
Hey, I wanted to say one last thing on the main event: Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the Usos. They also paid some silent tributes because they did bring up the Briscoes, but that was a Nick and Matt Jackson tribute match as fuck. If I've ever seen one, they didn't say nothing out loud. They didn't say they didn't. I
saw it too.
That was a Nick and Matt Jackson tribute match if I've ever seen one. They definitely paid tribute to those boys. We saw it.
I seen it. But I will say that just being there in person, seeing the match in person, it was just like, yeah, this is awesome. Just seeing all of these things that I love about wrestling, connecting in one main event, seeing those guys get their moment. I know there's some people who are like, hey, this Charlotte match was actually pretty good. Maybe she was right. Maybe she should have main evented. No, I still disagree. I still think the right match main evented. I think Charlotte Rhea was very, very good.
Great match.
And it was very good. I mean, Ric Flair's out here sounding like me, talking about my daughter should have main evented. But like, Rick, trust me, I understand. I am right there with you, as you just heard 4 minutes ago. But
yeah, and you have plenty of reason to be proud of Charlotte, man.
Yeah,
I only had one complaint about that match, and I complained about it that night on the Fightful post show, which was that I think Charlotte should have sold in the end. I think her sitting up and kind of giving that like chuckle.
I don't like that finish either.
No,
I don't like that.
You got one on me, kid.
Yeah,
good job. I don't like that finish.
Yeah, no, I don't like that. With that finish, there's plenty of other finishes I would have liked that in. Even a small package victory, that's where you do that. But like when she got
big finish,
when she got she got knocked out on the ring post. She was out, and then she took the finish. No, you sell after that. That's it.
Yeah.
That should have just been her selling and Rhea standing over her with the belt because she took a big finish. That's not a 10 seconds later be like, you got me kind of finish. And that
because all these youngsters got to get their shit in every time. Got to get their shit in. I'm gonna lose, but I got to get my moment also. I'm not mad at it, Charlotte. I'm not mad.
How did I forget that one of the best things about night one is watching my guy have that great entrance. And while it was happening, my phone was just going off constantly. It was like, yo, Bill's right. And I was just like, it's all right. I was sitting in the box and I was watching it. I was watching this guy get one of the loudest reactions of the night. And I was just like,
wait, we're talking about our guys having entrances. Ja getting a spot.
Shout out to Ja.
Yeah, shout out to Ja, who got to appear at WrestleMania in Dominic's entrance.
Somebody we interviewed was on WrestleMania.
Yeah, and I saw him the next day. I talked to him. It was great. Shout out to Ja. Shout out to Dom too. Dom had a great night. I thought his entrance was really cool. I thought him and Ray had one of the better matches of the night.
They did.
Ray had an awesome entrance. One of the best. Oh
yeah, that was my favorite thing. They brought it back and then on Wednesday fucked it up again. But yeah, that Snoop Dogg shit was tight.
Great entrance. Yeah, look, night one was a lot of fun. Night two was a lot of fun too. Like, listen, I know that I'm being a little bit salty because my favorite wrestler, and I'm a big Asuka fan, but being able to be on the floor and watch Asuka and Bianca wrestle and have a great match at that. And then Bianca had that
Beyonce entrance. Oh my goodness
that was
gracious.
Awesome. So getting to be
amazing.
there for that was really cool. And I think, say what you want about, the way that they've booked Bianca story-wise. I think that the legacy she's created at WrestleMania is special. Like, no other black woman has done this. And every time she does it, she brings a little bit of the culture with her every time. Yeah. Like, getting to main event with Sasha 3 years ago, and then coming with TSU in Dallas, and then bringing the Diva to Compton in Inglewood. Like, shout out to Bianca, man. I think
she's amazing.
It's not just that she represents us so well. She always takes a step to bring somebody else with her and bring other people forward. And I love that. And again, I did want Asuka to win, but I can't say enough great things about Bianca, man.
Forever champion Bianca Belair. Yeah, she's amazing. To have this run and all three matches, the result kind of sucked for Phil, but the match banged though. And so for her to have 3 killer WrestleMania matches to stand on on top of what Phil was saying,
three
bringing the culture here. It's like, yo, she is a tremendous
great
role
matches.
model. Yeah.
And I think like it would be one thing if I felt like Asuka lost and it was just a bad match. This was a really good match. I thought the story of them doing like, someone using their power game against a technical wrestler was really good. And the finish of her powering out of that submission and transitioning into that KOD, really cool.
And that miss spot, she ducked the miss. Like that was they did some dope shit there.
That sequence was dope too, where she missed the miss and she tried to use the hair. That was awesome. She's tried that super KOD more than once. Orion pointed this out when we did the review, that she's tried that super KOD at WrestleMania several times, can't pull it off. And she was like, why does she keep doing that? And I was like, because that's what she's going to do to beat Charlotte when she finally gets her Charlotte match at WrestleMania.
Let's read some more Humper chats. So we got this one. It's from Anwar Starwind. It says, props to y'all and everyone watching. I'm hyped at my guy Sonata finishing his story and at Mercedes killing it again. And Will and Phil, how do you feel about the new Spider-Verse trailer?
Spider-Verse trailer looks really good. I am excited for that movie. I hope that it's good. Sometimes the sequel doesn't hit quite the same as the first one, but the trailer looked really good.
Yeah, agreed. Let's see. Tony says, seeing last night made me really want my dream matches of Maka versus Jade, strongest of their promotions in my opinion, and Mone versus Shida. Also, I want Faye to take over Japan? Question mark?
Send more black wrestlers to Japan. Send more black women to Japan.
Athena.
That was the whole thing. I was sitting there during the press conference after Ring of Honor thinking, send Athena to Japan. She's killing it here against Joshi wrestlers.
I think she's showing every week that she wants to go. She's like, Tony, look at this. I'm beating ass. Send me.
Yeah, send her to Japan. Let her kill it. Send Queen Amanada to wrestle more Joshi wrestlers as well.
Yeah,
we need to see it happen.
Trish.
I think that's another part of what's so special about what Mercedes is doing right now. Like just opening doors. Not to say that she's the first black woman to do this, but just letting other black wrestlers know today that you can do this and you can succeed there.
And let's please get into that match because like I said, I just watched it before the show and that shit was fire. Mercedes looked like she was having so much fucking fun. All those women were fighting like this was the biggest match of their life, just like doing new spots. I've seen a million triple threat matches, doing new innovative spots in triple threat matches with the roll-ups and things that they were doing. The finish that ended up in a roll-up into Mercedes' finish was like, y'all are going for it out here. I love this shit.
Yeah, I just saw this scroll pass in the chat. Didn't Phil just say he wanted Asuka to win? I did want Asuka to win. Asuka, again, is my favorite wrestler, but you can't not give Bianca her credit. I think Bianca had a tremendous weekend, and just seeing what she's been able to accomplish over the last 3 years has been really, really inspiring. But no, this New Japan show was great. I think that there were several high points on this show. Sonata finally got his moment, which I assumed he was going to win, but it was nice to see him get his moment, and it was nice to see them follow through on that. It's nice for one company to follow through and do the right thing in the main event.
Who would have thunk it?
Who would have thought that you could just give the guy the win? But no, it was great to see Sonata get that win. He deserved it. I thought that tag match, if you haven't seen it yet, Reg, tag match was awesome. All the Open is tremendous tag team.
Yeah, I gotta watch that.
Fletcher clipped himself on a ring post, I think, and busted himself open. Continued the match, and these guys had a great win. If we don't get FTR versus Aussie Open again this year, I don't know what we're doing.
We have to.
We got Bullet Club shenanigans because LP got kicked out of the group, and I booed the entire time. I am not for Finlay as leader.
For
Get him
Finlay?
up out of here.
Ew,
I'm
no.
not for Finlay as leader at all. Get him up out of here.
I asked. I said, "Is Finlay the leader?" And
I'm not buying it. The more I watch it, I just feel like the results aren't there. Like he's he failed in his first big thing he tried to do as leader of Bullet Club. He lost the New Japan Cup. Everything he's done since, he's lost. In the match that LP got kicked out of, LP won the match. He's the one that got the pin to win that match, but he's the one that got kicked out.
Now, do you think they're going to bring in a new outside hire to be the Bullet Club leader, or do you think they're going to hire from within to be the leader? Because I tweeted yesterday, why are you guys so obsessed with this man joining this group of a place he's only wrestled in LA, hasn't even wrestled in the real New Japan? Why are y'all obsessed? And everybody was just like, Swerve is cool, Bullet Club is cool, everybody cool should be together. And I'm like, I don't think that's really how this works.
I'm still following the story. I think that something's going to happen with Finlay. I don't believe he's going to be the long-term leader here. I think the fact that Jay White debuted and he's still doing the Bullet Club stuff is leading to something.
And they teased it too. I
don't know what it means, but it does feel like it's still going somewhere. So yeah, I think the Bullet Club stuff was at least intriguing, but I definitely booed at my screen at LP getting kicked out. I thought the junior heavyweight match was also a lot of fun.
So I want to continue reading Tony P because he sent two more and they kind of follow up on all of this. He says, so is it me or it looks like they're planning some things early for Forbidden Door after Sakura Genesis with the Sky Blue announcement and Tony Khan and last night's matches? Does it seem as if TK and dang it, you got cut off there, and I'm so sorry because I lost the rest of it because we've received so many since that one. And he says, I mean, you have to let them sink or swim at some point, for real. Lastly, random question, Will, has there ever been a cohesive and coherent faction with a good mix of good and bad guys? Cohesive, no. Or coherent, no, because like the NWO had baby faces and heels at one point, but was that coherent at the point? No. So I don't know, because that's a tough one to pull off. Like, there was a point where DX was working as a faction as heels, but the New Age Outlaws were wrestling matches as baby faces. And that was McMahon Helmsley, where the New Age Outlaws were kind of having matches with like the Dudleys and stuff, but they were kind of working baby faces. They were doing their shtick for the crowd, but then they were also doing Hunter's dirty work. And so they were kind of trying to play both.
I don't know if that, like, I'm thinking of all the big factions, and no, if it's like somebody's playing the other side, that's going to lead to them eventually not being in the group is where it usually leads, you know?
Yeah. But as far as, you know, the events of Sakura Genesis leading into Forbidden Door, I think it's kind of time for that, right? Like Forbidden Door is in 2 months. And so, yeah, both New Japan and AEW kind of have to start putting seeds together for what's coming next.
Okada's not the world champion anymore, huh? Very interesting. Somebody could take a loss when they're not the champion.
Yeah,
I mean, look, I think the wildest thing they could do, to be honest, would be MJF versus Okada.
You are a sicko.
Well, it is gonna be interesting to see what MJF does on that card, because he has been saying for years doesn't watch New Japan, hates New Japan.
Has okay.
And so
that motherfucker's lying, by the way.
Of course, but it is going to be interesting to see who he wrestles on that card. I definitely think we're going to get some kind of Bullet Club Civil War match by then. I don't know what Okada's doing now if he's not champion. I kind of still think the Okada Omega match is still happening.
That's what I'm saying. No belt on the line, or Kenny's U.S. championship on the line.
So I kind of think that's still happening. But yeah, I'm all in on whatever they're doing for.
Or CM Punk versus Okada.
I don't know. But yeah, a lot of stuff to look at from this show and go like, all right, well, this is definitely going to lead here, because Kevin Kelly definitely mentioned FTR as soon as Aussie Open won. And I was like, yeah, Aussie Open versus FTR 2 is probably going to happen at Forbidden Door. If it doesn't, it's happening sometime next year. Or this year, rather.
Yeah.
Shout out MJF, by the way. That performance on Wednesday is like,
Max is a damn fool, man.
What is happening here? How does he continue to do this? And I told him personally that This guy has his own arena, and that's weird that no one else can say that. Like UBS Arena on Long Island belongs to MJF. That is his building. That you can continue to go back there as often as you want, and it'll continue to always be his crowd. He has his own arena. How many wrestlers can say that? Because like WWE's run UBS Arena one time, and then since then they've gone back to running Nassau Coliseum. So in that sense, UBS Arena is, they even tweeted, we love our friends at AEW and all of that. That's their building, and MJF has had that building in the palm of his hand now on 3 occasions.
Yeah. All right, and by the way, the other part of that Humper chat, congratulations to Sky Blue. Well deserved.
Oh, yeah.
Finally got that graphic. She's gotten better and better every time we see her on TV. So I think that was a well deserved signing. There's plenty of other stuff from the New Japan show, but of course, that 3-way was just incredible. I was sitting watching it like, we've only scratched the surface of post WWE Mercedes.
Yes.
And I was sitting watching this match like, I still feel like there's another gear for her to go. I don't think we've seen as good as she can be.
I agree.
Outside the company. And I mean, this was really good. Anybody that was sitting around like she can't keep up with Joshi wrestlers, like they put her in there with the high speed wrestler at the moment. Yeah. And she kept up and she looked amazing. Just match was fire. I was super happy for Hazuki to get the spot in this match and wrestle on such a big stage. And people were like, "No, Hazuki's there to take the pin." No, she's not. You know why? Because Hazuki is going to win a championship this year. I'm calling it. But yeah, this was a really, really good match, man.
That shit was fire.
Yeah, I kind of don't want her to lose this belt anytime soon. I want her to continue to keep having these dream matches. Of course, Mayu came out at the end and she slapped the taste out of Mayu's mouth, and I was just like, just keep giving us the matches, man.
Yes.
I'm here for all of it.
More. There's another one coming up, right?
Yeah, it's coming up April 25th. That's when the Mayu match is.
And that's the last date, though, on her contract, right? That's the one everybody talks about is the one.
Supposedly, yeah. I would think they're going to try to offer her a bag after.
I mean, look, we're having this is the most fun period with free agency ever. Yeah. We're like, totally. The idea that all of these contracts are lining up right around their final matches, so who knows what's going to happen. I mean, look, FTR worked the fuck out of everybody.
Oh, they got everybody so
big work.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big work for a long time. Like I knew back in December that they were gonna win the titles. Like that.
We would be in the group chat like every 3 days. Like, Dax is so funny, you guys.
And the fact that people were falling for it, the day when people were like, "Look, he's sitting there. You can see the contract on the table." Like,
he's fucking with you guys. Like,
got y'all good.
I mean, yeah. So, well, and that was the thing was. All right, if I may pull the curtain back a little bit. Hey. Remember when it came out a few months ago that the PW Insider reported that FTR were under long-term contracts and FTR denied it, but PW Insider reported, yeah, FTR is under long-term contract. Yeah. I'm going to pull back a little bit of where that story came from. WWE heard the rumors that FTR's contracts might be up soon. And WWE reached out to FTR's people to try and talk to them. And FTR's people informed WWE now they're under contract. They just signed a long-term deal and they're not available, which is how that's always supposed to go. That you reach out, you get told that they can't talk to them. And so WWE went, wait, they're under what? Okay, well, then they leaked it to PW Insider, who then reported FTR is under long-term deals. But the thing is, and then FTR denied it, saying that's not true, but PW Insider didn't get that out of AEW. They got that out of WWE, who was attempting to sign FTR and found out and got blocked because FTR was already re-signed to AEW. This is all. I heard this week FTR actually re-signed in like November.
Yeah, no, they've been on contract for a while.
They've been under contract for a while.
I
Pretty much
knew this last year.
So funny.
So it's been a while. They've been like really working people for a long time. But you know what? That's a good thing. That's how this is all supposed to go.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think it ended up working out really good. I think they got a good storyline out of the Gunn stuff. I think the Guns were good transitional champions. I know people look down on that term like, oh, that means their time as champions was a failure, but I think it served its purpose. And I think I know Reg might not feel the same way. I thought they looked like stars when they came out, man. I thought that entrance made them look great. I thought it was awesome.
Many men wish death upon me. I'm like, I was staring at Austin Gunn's mouth the whole time as he's mouthing along with the song. I'm like, what are you about to say?
Austin wants to be at that cookout so bad, man.
Listen.
he wants to be valid at that cookout so bad.
There are reasons, extra reasons, why that entrance pissed me off.
Let's go. Let's hear it.
Because others have tried to get certain songs for certain situations, and it didn't happen. And so knowing what them certain situations would have and could have been and what would have led to them, and then these two punk ass white boys get a 50 Cent mini-man fucking entrance? Give me a goddamn break, Tony Khan, QT Marshall, Captain Sean Dean, Jerry Lynn, Dean Malenko, BJ Whitmer, anybody.
I'm sure
that's
Dean Malenko ain't had nothing to do with 50 Cent record ringing off. You have to read it. Dean is somewhere minding his own business. Dean ain't got nothing to do with this.
Nah, Dean caught it straight. But yeah, nah, fuck y'all. That's some bullshit. I hate it. Y'all are dumb. This is stupid. On the real, that shit was great. The camera work was awesome. It did exactly what it needed to do because I hated it so much. And that's exactly what it's for. It's not for me to be like, that was great. It's for me to be like, I hate this shit and I want these fucking losers to lose. And they lost. So shout out to FTR for ridding me of the ass boys.
Even if the song doesn't stick around, though, I think the entrance is something they might have struck gold with. I think the way it panned around with those two back to back looked really good. They looked like stars in that moment.
And they have, just like Phil said, like the transitional champion thing is not bad because they have upped their game since winning the AEW Tag Team Champions. Like all of their promos have been good. They've been acting like big stars, and then that entrance made them look like big stars. So this was a success. This is how you do it.
And them being transitional champions, like we knew that. We knew the moment they won the titles. I think everybody's brains went, "Oh, okay, so this is how FTR gets the belt." Yeah, everybody knew it. We knew that moment.
Did everybody know it? Because there was a lot of people that got worked by that too. A lot of people like, "Oh, you're gonna make the Gun champions? The tag division is ruined." And then people were definitely overreacting. I was like, "It's going somewhere." Guys.
I saw people who thought that the FTR winning the belts was because Vince returned on Monday. Like,
got worked, buddy.
Oh, are so funny.
Got worked.
You gotta give them the belt so they don't leave. What? I don't get it. What does that mean?
And that's what Dax responded to on Twitter, where he's like, "Or maybe we signed here because it's been great for our families. It's been great for us to be." It's been a great place for us to work. And then he put over Tony big in the post-show promo. I was like, oh, the Cornette fans who live off of FTR, who like believe FTR is the best, the Bucks are the worst, and Cornette's right about everything. I wonder what they have to say about the way FTR put over Tony at the end of, or after they won the match. They grabbed the mic and immediately were like, Tony Khan.
Yeah, I've been trying to tell people for a while that it's a work. I tried to tell people way back when Dax looked in the camera after the FDR match and was like, "Look, Tony Khan, put us on your show." And I was like, "Yeah, he's working." But people didn't believe then.
Look, and honestly, see, but
people didn't believe that.
Again, knowing it was a work, I didn't want to pull back anything on that. I, on the other hand, was like, I'm going to let these guys cook. I want them to have fun. I am not in the business of spoiling their shit.
No.
And I want them to have fun with this. They did have a lot of fun, when they were like, our decision has been made, and you'll know what it is. And people were like,
Will Washington, speaking of mini men, how do you think how long can we turn this Swerve thing into we get one ain't nobody real good on the show? Like, what would it take to get to that point? It's over forever, you think? You don't think we
I don't
can
think
have
it's
this
over
one
forever.
special one?
This is me talking. I'm not saying this speaking for anybody. But if I were doing this, I think I would save Ain't Nobody for Swerve's babyface turn down the road. I think that when you can get him in babyface mode and popular, I think that's when you throw that on there. But for what he's doing right now, we'll talk about that. We're talking about the fact that
now.
But that's why I said it's over for now, because he's healed now. He's definitely not going to do it now. He's not going to give you what you want. He's healed.
Of course not. Of course not.
And being a heel now, he did reveal the thing we talked about. We'd been discussing and hinting at the fact that he had a new replacement for the old members of the mogul affiliates.
Say they name no more. They are.
I mean, we'll say it. It's Trench and Parker Boudreaux, and like Trench got injured.
Got Trench Montana up out of here.
Yeah. Well, so Trench got injured training, I believe. And then Parker got injured in that match, and I've also heard that some folks were very much not happy with.
Because our eyes got injured watching that match too.
And so, but he got injured in it, and so at that point it was like, all right, back to the drawing board, reboot. And so the idea came about to basically have Swerve purchase the embassy. That he is now 51% owner. Yeah, guys. How long have I been talking about the fact that there was something in the works here? This is not a response to the Endeavor WWE merger. It's not.
The timing is still funny. The timing's
funny, but Swerve literally tweeted merger 6 days ago. He tweeted hints at it 6 days ago. And people were like, well, the WWE thing's been in works longer than 6 days. You didn't know about it 6 days ago.
You didn't know about it until Sunday.
Yeah, and certainly we didn't know about it, and the wrestlers didn't know about it. This wasn't something that was out there. I promise you, this was a funny coincidence is the way to look at that.
Yeah, and even if it is a jab, it's funny.
It's funny.
Yeah, it truly wasn't. I guarantee you it was not. Because I know when it came about. I know when the idea was put forth. But I think it's a much better fit. I think it's I think it's a great fit. I think that as soon as I heard about it, and last week when everybody was like tweeting or putting all their hints in there, and I remember I turned to the chat and I said, and none of you have it, because I saw Shane Taylor Promotions, I saw Bullet Club was out there a lot, and I thought, no, it's not Bullet Club.
That would have been a huge flex for him to buy the rights to Bullet Club.
That would have been a flex, right?
Yeah, that wasn't the one in play though. Like so a lot of people were saying EJ and Duca, and I thought there's a lot of ideas being put out here.
EJ would have been cool.
EJ would have been cool, but that's what I meant when I said none of you are on the right track at all. And it turned out to be the embassy. I think even if Brian Cage hadn't stuck around, which it sounds like he's going to stick around, I know that there's an offer on the table, and pretty much I think they're in the final stages of, if they haven't signed it already, are pretty close to. But I even thought if Brian Cage hadn't stuck around, my thought was Gates of Agony is still a great look behind him. I think it's a much better look. I think having Bishop Khan and Toa behind Swerve would have been just an excellent look altogether. But Brian Cage just adds one more element to it. And and Prince Nana is sticking around in all this too. Swerve's literally being managed now by Prince Nana, and
Amazing.
he will have as his muscle the Ring of Honor 6-man tag champs. Now, where I think this is going to head now, again, speculation, is because people were asking, well, what does this mean for the Keith Lee feud? Keith Lee feud is going to continue. Where do I think this is going is that, because I think they can tie this back into Ring of Honor, because obviously this is now an AEW thing, but all those guys are signed to AEW. And so I know people are like, well, I want to see more distinction between Ring of Honor and AEW. I think that's a hard ask. And I know that people want to see that, but the reason that's a hard ask is because all of those guys are signed to AEW contracts. Like Athena is doing some of the best work she's ever done in Ring of Honor. But I know that she's also like, but I'm signed to AEW and I want to be at these arenas. I want to be, working these I want to be working these crowds. I want to be working these shows that I signed to do, even though I'm working Ring of Honor. And, Ring of Honor is going to continue the Universal tapings. I know people are like, well, I don't want to see these in the arenas. I think this is just a timing thing because they had a live Dynamite that didn't have Rampage attached to it this week. And they had a live Rampage this week with no Dynamite. And it's like, okay, well, we'll use these two to tape some Ring of Honor stuff.
Thank God this isn't forever because it doesn't work at all. I hate it.
Yeah, Tony even said, when I asked him about that in the media scrum, he did say that it's going to be a mix. So my guess is, this is my hunch, but the next set of Universal tapings, they'll do more Ring of Honor stuff there.
Sweet.
But I think the way you can tie it all back together is by, so now Swerve has his backup. He's got his group. Who's Keith got? And I think that Keith,
he got some friends.
He's got some friends. Keith can recruit Shane Taylor Promotions. And then you can then splinter all of this back off into Shane Taylor Promotions could also want to challenge for the Ring of Honor Trios titles. And there's built-in story there because where does Bishop Khan's loyalties lie in all of this? He has said, even in joining the embassy, that he still has love for Shane Taylor.
Yeah. Hey,
but so
as long as
there's
we get
ways
Khan on TV more. I'm for all this.
Yeah,
definitely.
So I think there's lots of ways to make this work, and there's lots of stuff you can do in the future with it. So I think it's a much better fit. As soon as I heard about it, I was like, "That's the one." That's I like it. I like the. I just think they're better muscle for him. Yeah, I agree. Getting Khan on TV, I think will be a great exposure for him over time. I think that I know a lot of people who say, "Well, why does Swerve need a faction at all?" I think he should just be by himself. I disagree for the character he's putting out there, in that I think he needs a clique, and I think he needs people backing him up. Now, I want to see him with a title. What title? Sure. I think I now know the answer. World title eventually. But
don't you say it.
I was going to say, I think he should beat Orange Cassidy.
Okay.
I think that's a feud you can do after all of this is done. I
thought you were going to say it. I was going to fight you. Stay away from the TNT championship, brother. Stay on your side.
No, I actually think Orange Cassidy's
that's great.
I was thinking with all the heels Orange Cassidy's kind of going up against, what heels on the roster could eventually take him down? Orange Cassidy's been on a fire run with this belt. Who could be the one to beat him? I think Swerve, international champion.
Yeah,
that's great. I'd be for that. He looks great. Every time he comes out with the very expensive looking coat on, he came out this week with the ski mask. He looks great. I'm for everything they're doing. It did make me think, with all the ROH connections and the connection to the embassy, of Gresham, and I did listen to the entire interview. Shout out to Nick Hausman. And I thought it was a very good interview. I thought that Gresham gave up a lot of information that we were wondering about. Anybody that thinks that Gresham is one of those guys because he doesn't tweet a lot, that he's not on the internet. Apparently, he does see all you guys talking crazy.
Yes,
because he did see you guys talking crazy about the PWI thing, and I was glad that he cleared that up, because I always thought people overreacted with that, and I thought people acted nasty towards Gresham in general. I thought people were way overreacting, and they didn't know what really happened, and so that's why I was waiting for him to give his side of the story and for Tony to give his side of the story. And I think what he said in a lot of ways made sense. I think him saying that he was going through something, he had a lot going on, and he felt like he was being left hanging when he was trying to have conversations with Tony. I think that explains why he reacted the way he did. Because based on everything we knew about him, I didn't buy him to be this guy that got that mad because he was losing.
Yeah, no,
we've
0%.
never seen. Well, I've never heard of him acting like that before,
Mm-mm.
and so I always thought that was a little strange.
It was like completely out of character. It felt like for me because he didn't. It was like anytime
Yeah,
people were like, because he lost, like it's not about the loss at all. He didn't care about that. He'll lose the belt in 3 seconds if he has to.
and I think if it was about losing the belt, I think it was because he had business tied up in being champion. He had already taken bookings, and he didn't have a conversation with guys, so he felt like, nah, I had other stuff tied into this, and you could have told me ahead of time so that I could have, moved other things around. And then he also was talking about how burned out he was at the time. It was a really good interview if you guys haven't listened to it, and I do think it's hopeful for people that think that he may not ever be in Ring of Honor again. I think that some of the stuff he said towards the end makes me think that he could end up back there, because I thought that was the worst thing about all of this is that, man, this guy had talked about for so long his dream being a Ring of Honor wrestler and representing that brand, and him leaving on such a sour note just bothered me. So I'm hopeful that, it seems like he's having a good time in Impact. He's having some bananas matches with Kushida and Speedball and all these other people. Maybe one day he will end up in Ring of Honor again. But
yeah, no, all this made me feel very hopeful about a return to Ring of Honor, because he talked about just like it kind of being like water under the bridge, and how Tony came up to him and was like, no hard feelings, even after all this stuff. Like, I know how things move, and kind of knowing how things move backstage, not just in AEW, but in every company. What Gresham was talking about is like how a lot of wrestlers kind of feel. Sometimes you can't, like, you have these ideas and you can't even get them to the boss, and you're trying to get a meeting with them, and you're trying to get all these things, and it just doesn't work sometimes. So he said
Remind me to tell you guys a private story about that, by the way, afterward. Just remind me. It's been sitting on my brain for a minute. But
yeah. So for him to just kind of admit that that the part that he played in it too, it wasn't all one party. It wasn't all, on one sided. It was both parties were doing things that led to this whole moment happening. But yes, hearing him talk about it in full has got me very hopeful about the future of what Ring of Honor could do. Because like I said before, Jonathan Gresham would have retired a Ring of Honor wrestler if that was if he had the choice. Like, stay in Ring of Honor forever or do anything else. I'll stay in Ring of Honor forever is the answer. He like worked his entire career to get to the point that he was. And so I hope that it eventually leads to him being back. But like you said, he's been having some insane matches. He's in a series of matches with Speedball Mike Bailey right now in Impact Wrestling, and they're going to have a triple threat match at the next show. Speedball, Gresham, and Trey Miguel for the X Division Championship that I'm sure is going to like fry our brains.
But I'm glad that some of this has died down, because some of the energy around it was really, really toxic. Just, it sounded like he was really upset, like he had just completely gone off the grid for a moment.
He did,
and the way people were talking about it just felt kind of nasty. And so I'm glad that he's in better spirits. I saw him in January when I went to Atlanta, and I talked to him for a brief second, and he seemed like he was in good spirits. He seemed like he was feeling a lot better. So I was happy about that. And listening to his interview, further confirms he's in a good place. So,
and patience. This shows patience, because people have been saying for months and months, Gresham. Let the man get everything together. Let him talk about it. And when we need to hear the story, we'll hear it. And we heard it.
Yeah, I'm glad he came out, told his side of the story when he was ready, and he didn't just come out when all the feelings around it were still raw.
Right. It would have been completely different if he did this 6 months ago, probably.
Yeah. So I'm glad that it seems like we're in a better place with this, and rooting for this guy to be Impact World Champion soon.
Boom.
Let's see. Let's turn back over to the super chats, because we got a lot of super chats, and I want to make sure that no one's super chat got missed, because there's so many. Let's see. We got Annie Rudd says, and I apologize because I probably butchered that.
I think it's Annie Rude.
Annie Rude.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
It says creating a new world title would be an L for WWE. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I agree with that per se, because I think it all depends. You can't do it while Roman's still champion, pretty much. That has to be settled before you can even think about creating a new championship.
Yes.
My bold prediction is there will be separate world titles again by the end of the year.
Hopefully it's not when
Again,
Roman Reigns is
you
champion.
cannot do that while Roman's
Yes,
champ, though.
can't be while Roman's champ.
But I'm just saying that's my bold prediction that I think there will be 2 world titles again by the end of the year.
And I'm fine with that. As long as it's the result of Roman having lost both.
Yes.
If he just gives one up, that's the wackest shit you could ever do.
Awful.
Trash. You can't do that.
I mean, you had your chance. You should have just lost on Sunday. But you know,
If he's pinned and only loses one title, that sucks too.
I did not think we were going to be on this Grapsody after Mania saying that Roman Reigns is still champion. I did not at all. Not one day think like I made a bunch of jokes. We all joked on the timeline, but I was like, do the right thing, you guys.
I mean, the problem I'm having now is that we were complaining a year ago about how stale the bloodline angle had gotten. And then we were like, man, breath of fresh air. They just breathed into it with Sami Zayn, and they made this some of the most entertaining stuff that's happened on wrestling television, possibly ever. I will go that far and say it's been some of the best stuff they've ever done. And then it's like, okay, we can now reach a point of paying it off. And I feel like, no, you actually just went back to where it was before.
You saying it out loud made me laugh because you're like, this is the best stuff they've ever done. Now they're like, this is the best stuff we've ever done. Let's do it forever until we burn it into the ground like they always do.
Exactly
everything that they always do.
Yeah. That's exactly what they're doing. They should just ended the storyline here. And that's not to say that you had to end all of the Sami and Jay stuff. You still had mileage to go after WrestleMania, but it just doesn't make sense if you know this guy is not going to be on TV. You know you're not going to have him for upcoming pay-per-views.
That's the worst
Why is
part.
he still champion? It just doesn't make sense, man. It's so stupid. And I've seen
Confirmed not on Backlash, by the way.
Yes, what?
It's so stupid. The comparison I gave was if you book this story about how Hangman has been trying for this match all the time, you get the Full Gear, you know goddamn well that Kenny Omega's injured and he's not going to be on TV, and you just have Kenny beat him anyway.
Right.
Why?
I mean, I'll go with the WWE comparison, where they've done this before. WrestleMania 34, you had Brock Lesnar retain the title over Roman Reigns, knowing full well that Brock had 2 more matches left that he was going to work, which they were going to work Greatest Royal Rumble, and then he wasn't going to work again until SummerSlam. And knowing that, you kept the title on Brock. You rather have no champion at all than... And the thing is, that, you know, it's like the idea of saving it for the bigger moment. Roman Reigns did eventually win the title from Brock. He won it at SummerSlam that year. Nobody remembers that. But everybody remembers Brock losing. But everybody remembers Roman losing at WrestleMania.
Yep.
Nobody remembers him eventually winning the belt at SummerSlam.
Nope. Just another victory that didn't mean anything.
Yeah,
because you only got one night. You only had one night with 80,000 fans. You only had one night with the most viewers you were ever going to have. WrestleMania Night 2 shattered all records. Hunter came out and said it last night. We beat every record we've ever had, right? Like, he did the whole thing, right? I was so worried. I was so worried, by the way, as he started that promo. I'm like, this is the same promo from Monday. He hasn't said anything new yet. And then he finally slipped in, oh, and by the way, we're doing a draft. Rhea Ripley, everybody.
Yeah, we very much need that draft. We need to shake up both rosters.
That's exactly what I thought when Cody lost. I was like, you know what would make this better? A draft.
Yeah, they definitely need to shake things up. But the other part about this that just annoys me to no end is that they've conditioned their audience to believe that the babyface has to lose. You have to lose to get where you need to be. No, you don't. You can just win the first time. You don't have to lose the first time. You don't. That is not a good storytelling trope. It is depending on certain characters, but you don't have to do that every time. You don't. And the thing that makes it worse is, to me, I'll be fine with this. I've said this many times since Sunday. If Roman beat him in an interesting way. No, it's the same derivative fucking finish they've been doing for almost a year. It's the same thing they've been doing over and over again. It's interference, DQ, interference, ref bumps. I don't want to see it anymore. Do something else. Something else.
How much adversity does a man need? He had a purple titty. They fired him pretty much. He had to leave the company to build his stock. I mean, even oranges. He was fucking Stardust. Like, he's been through so much adversity. How much adversity does a man need? Like, what?
hell, the question keeps getting asked of what would have been next for Cody if he had won. I don't know. The thing they did on Raw the next night. Yeah. You could literally have Brock Lesnar versus Cody Rhodes, which is probably going to main event Backlash. I bet you that's the main event of Backlash.
Yeah.
Unless like Bad Bunny is in the main event. But I bet you Brock Lesnar and Cody's the main event. Make it for the title. The exact thing that happened of like the story that they told on SmackDown this week where Wade Barrett was like, Brock was very angry that he was in the opener of WrestleMania. Even though he's been in the opener of WrestleMania before. But they said Brock was angry that he was in the main opener.
He requested to be in the opener last time.
But
exactly.
But make that the story, right? You could make that the story. Cody's the champion. Meanwhile, Brock's in the opener. Okay. And Cody gets taken out by Brock, and Brock decides, if I'm going to get back to the main event, I'm going to do it by beating the new WWE champion. You've got a fucking story there. Main event. Can Cody hold on to the title now? He's won the belt, but
that's
he's
your adversity right there. It's Brock
but he's
Lesnar.
immediately in peril because all of a sudden now this championship reign that just got started is already in jeopardy because now he's got Brock Lesnar on his ass. You have a compelling title run right there. Brock and Cody for the titles. The titles, by the way, that Brock couldn't have a shot at because he can't have another shot because he lost to Roman Reigns. Right? That's a storyline. That's the story that he can't challenge Roman Reigns again. But now the moment that Cody is champion, Brock is challenging him. Do you have a story there? It's easy. And now it sells the main event of WrestleMania.
Now
Backlash.
you got two losers that can't beat Roman Reigns in the main event, not going for a belt that they can get from Roman Reigns.
Yeah, that whole Paul quote where he's saying, where was the story going to go after this? There was nowhere for him to go if he won. I don't know. Write a story. That's what you guys do.
Don't you guys have writers?
Shout out Jeremy Lambert, who said exactly that. He's like, I don't know. You guys employ 500 writers. Come up with something. But they did come up with something for Cody after this. As a matter of fact, the idea of, well, what would be next for Cody? What's next for Roman? He's not on the show.
Roman's at home. Up next for him is a TV dinner. Like he's not at the show. What are you talking about?
So,
like I've liked Roman's run. I even disagree with this statement from Joel Allison, who says Bullet Club Civil War greater than the Bloodline. Disagree. I actually like Roman's run. It's just time.
Well, I enjoy the Bloodline stuff. I've said before, I've been out on Roman as champion for about a year.
For a while.
Because I feel like it's been the same match. It's been the same finish for a long time. I just want them to do something different with him as champion. Do something different with him as a character. I just want something else. Just stop giving me the same match, please. I just can't watch the same match with the ref bump and the Samoans come in and beat up somebody and the ref acts like they didn't see it. 1, 2, 3, he retains. I'm just tired of seeing it. Do something else, man. Please do something else.
They even had an out for all of that, right? Because you had Jey Uso get haluva kicked 3 times at WrestleMania. He could be out the next night, right? Like, that's a story. You had Solo ejected. What was the point of that?
They didn't care about none of that shit.
That was the story. Not that it can be a story. That was the story. The entire purpose, not just of having Kevin Owens and Sammy challenge for the titles the day before, it was to get the other members of the Bloodline out the way. Why was the point of doing that if they were just going to interfere anyway? Then you
He sent Solo out. He put a hood on and came back.
Solo out there, he gets kicked out, and then he comes out with a hoodie like we don't know what the fuck he is. Bro, we've seen this guy on TV every week. Doesn't make sense. Does not make sense at all, man. Like I enjoyed WrestleMania on the whole, but I've grown to hate how overbooked Roman matches are. I hate it. I hate the pacing of it. I hate the constant interference. It's horrible.
It's like
it's
you
boring
know
to me.
where it's leading when the steps start. You're like, here goes this. It's gonna lead to this. It's gonna lead to this.
I told you guys when we did Denise's podcast, the second the ref bump happened, I stood straight up and I was like, it's happening. He's winning. I could see it. It was like I'm telling you, it was like that's so Raven. I was like, he's winning. And I looked around and I saw like when they got to the point where Cody did the bionic elbow, which was perfect. The way they built into that spot was perfect. He did Dustin's uppercut, then he did the double crossroads. That should have been into the match. Why was that not the end of the match?
Oh, and you say double crossroads, but he was going to go for a triple, but then just kind of stood there and waited for Solo, and at the
again when he stopped, I was like, he's losing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it was just like all of it was so fucking telegraphed, and that's why I'm like, I just don't like any of it, and I don't want this to feel like it's an indictment on Roman as a performer. I think Roman is great. I think he's a generational star. I think he's had a incredible run.
He's a big star.
Time.
He came out of this as a big star.
It's time for it to end.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, the thing I'm mostly over is everybody on this show a fucking idiot? Like the fact that I think you could tell a story well. It would be compelling if like one day you have Michael Cole kind of interviewing Roman Reigns, talking about how dominant of a champion he is, and then Michael Cole just stops and goes, I can't do this. And like, and Paul Heyman's like, what are you doing, Michael Cole? And he's like, you're a fraud. Like you have lost. I mean, you've cheated in every match. You've been visually beaten in your last few matches.
Yes.
Like, no, this is fraudulent. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not putting this over because I want somebody to eventually do this. And then like, because of the fact that you had Cody come out and I'm like, don't you say you were the better wrestler, because like he said,
weren't.
He said I had you, but he was like, you were the better competitor. What does that mean?
You were not.
What does that mean, Cody Rhodes? I'm tired of this. I'm tired. Like even commentary, nobody on commentary after the match was over was furious, doing the whole like, what the hell? You stole this one, Roman Reigns. They're just like, Roman Reigns continues his run of dominance. This isn't dominance. This is cheating.
This is exactly what I mean. This is again why I'm sick of the Roman Reigns. It feels like fucking Groundhog Day. He does the same thing. They come out and they praise him over and over again about how great he is. No, the guy is cheating to win every time. And it's just like they don't acknowledge it. We go right back to the same way of booking things. Hey, how about we put a stipulation in place so he can't do that again? He's done it 4 pay-per-views in a row. Like, it's just, I just can't watch it anymore.
That was the story they were building for the WrestleMania match. Of like the bloodline's not there, and then they had the
ridiculous.
There.
It was so annoying, and that's why I didn't watch Raw.
You're calling me dumb as a viewer at this point. Like,
yeah, you're insulting my intelligence as a viewer.
Right.
And that's why I'm like, I just could not watch Raw and sit and watch this farce again of going over, man, one of the most dominant champions of our time. Cody had his moment, but he couldn't overcome. No. Cody had this guy beat.
Yeah.
And he cheated again. And we're not even going to, there's not even going to be any comeuppance for him cheating. Where are you, Adam Pearce? When are you going to do your fucking job? Like, when are you going to do anything about this guy cheating?
I know it like doesn't make any sense that nobody on the show is calling this out. Nobody on the show is like, hey, you should stop. Like Adam Pearce is the type of character who would be there right in that moment. Like Miz cheating, it's like, oh, Adam Pearce is out here, but they're like so afraid to have anybody call out Roman Reigns that I want somebody one day to be like, I can't do this anymore.
This is bullshit. You suck.
Yeah. But it's like, this is bullshit. Like I know this is what the company wants me to do, but I have to stop. And then like they get beat down by the bloodline for like not towing the line. Like that would actually be kind of dope.
Cody coming out and saying you were the better competitor is sick, dude. So sick.
Eloquent says, peace, fellas, sending support. Also, props to Dominic. Bro achieved nuclear levels of heat. Didn't think he had it in him. Somebody said on Twitter, I'm kind of stealing their point, and I'm sorry that I'm not giving credit for this, but they said that there's only ever going to be one Rey Mysterio. Yes. And every attempt at doing the next Rey Mysterio has flopped. Out of WWE.
Even his son.
But yeah, even his son. But letting Dominic do his own thing and coming up with something unique to Dominic has been amazing for him. That kid does not wrestle like Rey Mysterio. I mean, he did the saddest 619 I've ever seen in my life.
The worst 3 amigos in wrestling, bro.
Yes, bad. Come on, man.
But him being himself and finally figuring out what he's doing on his own, he's been great. Yeah, no, I love Dominic.
I liked him on Raw when they beat up Bad Bunny. Like, I like him in that role. Like this shitty little guy with a mullet that you just want to punch in the mouth. Good shit.
He's great. Yeah. Redmond says
he's great.
Okada latest tweet looking for new scenery.
I mean, he's
y'all gonna let Okada work y'all too?
Maybe.
Tenruza says, was wild seeing some Americans no-sell the Wembley news. It's a historic announcement. Also looking forward to catching up on Sakura Genesis tomorrow.
We only care about our shit. Like, oh, it's overseas. I don't care. I'm not going to be there.
Gaming from Canada says, shout out to the Guns for that epic entrance. Might have made me a fan. Ryan says, just wanted to tell you guys, I've only been listening a few months, but Grapsody has become my favorite show, and I look forward to it every week. Have a great day in Easter, guys. Yep, tomorrow is Easter.
Appreciate you.
I bought my kids. Did you know they make Fruity Pebbles bunnies now? Like they're like chocolate bunnies, and not chocolate, but they're like, so they've got one that's like white chocolate, but it has Fruity Pebbles pieces in it, and they made another one that's chocolate and has Cocoa Pebbles pieces in it. I bought them both. I bought one of each for my kids. And
America is grotesque, man.
I mean, look, I don't know what's happened in the last like 3 years, but Fruity Pebbles has suddenly become like a big thing.
It's in everything at this point.
It's in everything. Yeah. Like everybody's doing Fruity Pebbles flavored stuff. I've seen I saw like the little snack pack puddings that are like Fruity Pebbles flavors now.
Yeah, I don't know why this happened, but
I saw
just like we don't know why diabetes and all these other diseases are happening.
I saw Fruity Pebbles flavored, which is funny because like I've been doing this for years and I make pancakes for my kids every week, every Sunday. But I saw they had like just Fruity Pebbles pancake mix, and I'm like, you mean that thing I do where I just pour Fruity Pebbles in the pancake mix? Y'all are just like selling this as a flavor of pancakes, and just go buy a box of Fruity Pebbles. Just drop it in your pancake mix. You got Fruity Pebbles pancakes.
All in
capitalism, man. Yeah, take something that already exists and sell it to people like it didn't exist before.
I mean, look. But then again, KFC with the famous bowls when those first came out. I remember my boy worked at KFC at the time when those first hit, and he was like, this is how we used to have to eat lunch because we had such short breaks that we were like, all right, just give me mashed potatoes, just give me some chicken. I'm gonna just dump the chicken over it, and I'm gonna just like throw some corn over it, and we'll just eat this. And then one day when they were like the KFC famous bowl, and he's like, that's literally what we ate because that's all we had time for.
The KFC labor union bowls. I only got 5 minutes for this.
The KFC weed head bowl. That's essentially what it was.
Yes. I love it.
Eloquent said the Mavs are corny for punting on play-in chance.
Hey man, what did you expect from the Dallas Mavericks? This is a very Dallas Mavericks thing to do. Not
Mark
surprised
Cuban.
by this in any way. It's just this is a Mark Cuban thing to do.
Eloquent says SRS has a great impaler DDT.
What the hell was Sean Ross Sapp doing outside DDT and Shazza?
I don't know.
I think the funniest
that
thing
rivalry has come. The rivalry between SRS and Shazza has come to a head, and he hit her with a DDT. I think
the funniest thing about it is him ripping off the mask and him going, "Yeah, it's me," and everybody's like, "Who?" And he's just like, "Yeah, it's me," and everybody starts moving. It's great.
Great hill, SRS.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say that some of the things that like Sean did get a response there, like that is kind of an all-time funny. Where's the lie kind of moment, but the
Where's the lie?
But I'll say this though, I think it's weird that you can't win with certain people when you're in wrestling media, because there's two ideas out there, right? There's the one side that says, and I've heard Disco Inferno say it multiple times, which is that these guys have never been in a ring. And so they don't know what they're talking about. And he said that specifically about Sean, and I was like, Sean trained to wrestle, right?
Sean has been in the ring.
Yeah, Sean has been in the ring, and he got injured, but Sean trained to wrestle before he ever got into wrestling media. But I was like, okay, let that slide, right? And now that he's been training for some time now, and he's getting back in the ring. Now I'm seeing people going, wrestling media needs to stay out of the ring. And I think, so it's either wrestling media doesn't know what they're talking about because they've never been in the ring, or wrestling media needs to stay on the other side. Yeah. But they can't seem to win in terms of...
There's no in between.
Yeah.
I mean, Sean in particular just cannot win with certain people. There are certain people that have just decided they hate this man, and so no matter what he does, they'll complain about it. I just don't know why you care so much about what this guy does. It just if you don't like him, just avoid what he does. It just doesn't make sense.
It's pretty easy.
And it's really easy to avoid people you don't like. Guys, Twitter has a mute button.
Yeah.
I have Elon Musk blocked on Twitter. And it's his platform.
Blocking and muting the hell up here. I don't even argue no more. I'm just like, gone. Later, loser.
Yeah.
See ya.
Like, you do not have to. Like, I don't understand the whole posting screenshots of people who blocked you to be like, "Hey, it's a badge of honor. I got blocked by this guy." Like, get out of here.
No, you're a loser.
Big loser.
That
Big
is loser
vibe.
behavior, bro.
Jake Salazar said, "So, who Keith gonna have help him against Swerve in the embassy?" I think it's Shane Taylor Promotions. That's my guess. He says, also, why WWE suck with this bloodline story right now? Chapters in a story supposed to be 1, 2, and 3, not back to 1, not 1, 2, back to 1.
Mm-hmm. I think.
Van Twinblade says, how many men will it take to hold Reg back? Lamora says, I went to the AEW show on Wednesday, and my weeb self was hyped at all the Tokyo Joshi and DDT representation across Dark, Dynamite, and ROH. Thank you, Kenny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, because you got to see Miyu Yamashita on ROH. You also got to see Riho on Dynamite. And
shout out to Miyu Yamashita for I was at West Coast Pro last night. I didn't get to watch any wrestling on the TV. A little bit I clocked into, but she had an amazing match with Masha Slamovich, the West Coast Pro women's champion. Miyu, like you said, she had that match with Athena a couple days ago, and then this match after that is like, yo, these people are going crazy. I think she has a crazy match tonight too on that Defy show also. So these Japanese women's wrestlers, Japanese men's wrestlers are like really out there going for it. The West Coast Pro show was really quick. I want to say the West Coast Pro show was a great time. A bunch of really incredible matches. Brian Keith and Jordan Oliver had a banger of a match. My homies really went for it. A lot of great hard-hitting action. The power bombs and Tiger drivers were off the charts. Speedball Mike Bailey and Michael Oku was the match of the night. Michael Oku is a great wrestler from out in the UK. He's been having some amazing showings out here in America. And Speedball Mike Bailey, I talked to him in too much at this point. So yeah, great show out there at West Coast Pro. All the homies represented. My homie Alpha Zoe had a match with Leo Rush that just like wrestling is not supposed to make you cry all the time, but like when you see your friends have a moment that they work so hard for. My homie Zoe has worked at this point for years, but for the last year, he's been working so hard to become a better wrestler. He's been working on his physique. He's been working on his promo skills. He's been tearing it up out here in Northern California, trying to become the best wrestler that he can. Last night, he had a huge moment. Leo Rush is one of the best wrestlers in the whole world. Zoe had his family out there. At one point, Zoe's grandparents was there. At one point, he had Leo on a chair, and he's like chopping Leo. And Zoe's grandma was like, yeah, get him. She's like being stunt granny. I loved it. It was amazing. But Zoe ended up getting the victory against Leo Rush. And like, I'm like, you can't be crying out here. There's people out here. Like some wave of emotion just like washed over me. Because when you see your friends just succeed and be able to live out these great moments in front of their family, in front of the world, in front of all these people, it's just great to see, man. It was so great. And Leo Rush is so fucking dynamic, dude. He can bring any crowd anywhere. As soon as he starts his running all over Spider-Man between your legs up over the ropes type bit, like there's not another wrestler in the world that does it like him. So shout out to Leo Rush for being a great opponent for Zoe. Shout out to Zoe for getting a super huge win, man. Great moment, man. I loved every moment of it. Shout out to West Coast Pro, my homies. Chris Hero was in attendance. He is now the matchmaker for West Coast Pro. He was doing a tremendous job leading and coaching and giving out great advice. Shout out to my homie Scott, of course, West Coast Pro owner, and Vinny Massaro for being a great wrestler and a great promoter / booker. Just if you haven't been to a West Coast Pro show, if you're ever in Northern California, please pull up, man. It's a time like no other. Rest in peace to Kid Zombie. That's it. That's mine.
Shout out to Michael Oku, and hopefully he ends up on the All-In card.
Oh yeah,
great spot for him. And
Jericho already told him on the podcast.
He needs that spot, man.
Last night I missed a lot of the wrestling too. I saw SmackDown. I didn't see Rampage or Battle of the Belts yet, and haven't seen Sakura Genesis because I went to Lucha Libre and Laughs.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I heard that it was pretty great last time that they had a show. It was fun.
Yeah, and yeah, it was fun last night. Effie was in the building, and Warhorse and Maki Ito all had the big marquee matches. Warhorse actually just became the Triple L champion.
Nice.
So
speaking of Maki Ito, another shout out real quick. If you are in Oakland, California tonight, Hood Slam has a show. Maki Ito's on the show. My girl Trisha Dora is on the show. Shout out to Dark Chic. If you are in the area, Hood Slam is going to be going on tonight. I think it's at the Continental Club. Great time. If you want to get drunk and see some crazy wrestling, Hood Slam is going on.
Well, I was going to say Triple L, Lucha Libre and Laughs just announced their 10-year anniversary show coming up in June, and Miyu Yamashita will be on the card. They announced. So, although they also, much like Tony Khan said, Yamashita, and I went, stop saying that. But yeah, it was a great time last night. I took my wife for the first time, and she had a blast because it's a stand-up comedy and professional wrestling show, and it's always different comics, and they always kind of bring a different flavor because they don't really know what they're getting into when they get there. And so they come in there and they'll tell their jokes, and sometimes they'll be like, I didn't know I was coming to like a wrestling show. I didn't know that y'all had it like this. And so it's always great. Sometimes they'll stick around and do like commentary over matches. It's always a fun time. It was sold out yesterday too. It was packed to the rafters. I literally sat in the very, very back row because I got there kind of late. I got there like right as they started. And then I ended up leaving. I was gifted a Mariah Carey pop vinyl, which will be my third. And then I accidentally left it there. And so I was like, fuck, man. I was like really excited to have received that because she's in the fantasy gear from this one. And so I reached out to the Triple L Twitter account because like there's a few people I could have messaged, but I'm like, let me see if I just message who's running that account. And I said, hey, weird question. Did y'all happen to find like a Mariah Carey pop vinyl anywhere? And they responded with maybe and sent that to me.
You saw what your man Nick Cannon was saying about Mariah? He's like, man, that's the best girl I ever had.
Yeah,
man.
I did see that. Yeah.
Nick Cannon's a damn fool.
So I will be getting my pop vinyl back and adding that back to the collection. But
shout out to whoever gifted that to Will. That's dope.
So it was very kind. But yeah, seriously, everybody, if you're in the Denver area, I just want to check out some local pro wrestling. Lucha Libre and Laughs is always a good time, and I've been to a couple shows now. It's fun. It's a great time. Jake Salazar says, wonder if Nick Wayne gonna help Keith Lee. I mean, like I said, I think Nick Wayne, he turns 18 July 10th, I want to say. And so I know that as soon as that happens, he is moving into AEW TV. Nice. Which is so weird. And I say that just because my first podcast was June 18th, 2005. I've been podcasting longer than Nick Wayne's been alive. Yeah. He was literally born after episode 3 of RBR.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I had that thought yesterday because I had to double check something. When people put songs on Twitter and it's like, yeah, that was a jam. And so I saw Get Thrown. I was like, yeah, Get Thrown was a big record. And I was like, 2005. I was like, wait.
Oh, whoa. Like, I don't like when they put the dates on it.
I was like, Get Thrown is almost 20 years old. And I had to look it up to make sure. And I was like, it is. So I was like,
yeah, I don't like when they put the dates on it. It makes me feel old as hell. They're like, oh, this song came out 23 years ago. I'm like, did it?
I remember where I was when Get Thrown came out. Like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know. Look, guys. You're talking about 2005 and me bringing up Mariah Carey again. An album that was considered her comeback album, The Emancipation of Mimi, which was one of the best-selling albums of 2005, which means she had a comeback album nearly 20 years ago.
She back.
20 years ago. This is the platinum edition, by the way, that has the bonus tracks.
Couldn't go outside without hearing a fucking Mariah Carey record in 2005. Jeez.
Oh, yeah. The number one song of 2005 was We Belong Together. And the only reason, it's kind of an accomplishment that the only reason she didn't have more number ones that year was because she would have had to knock herself off to get another number one. Like she literally had We Belong Together at number one. And as Shake It Off was going up the charts, it couldn't knock off Mariah's other track. She literally was like occupied.
I'm Real, Ja Rule, and Jennifer Lopez.
That was 01, wasn't it?
That was before that. I was like, that would have been another Mariah.
I mean, but that was that. I mean, well, that was I'm Real, Ja Rule. Well, that's so funny because that's what sparked the beef between J Lo and Mariah was I'm Real, because that song was made in response to If We off of the Glitter soundtrack, Mariah and Ja Rule and
Rule, baby.
and Ja Rule and. Do you remember that whole thing? That was one of my funniest, the funniest bits I remember from Twitter was where white Twitter had discovered what J-Lo was saying at the beginning of that track, where she goes, R-U-L-E. And like people were like, and white folks were like, wait, she's just spelling R-U-L-E? We're like, we thought she said R-U-L-E.
Are you
like,
ready?
You're like,
are you ready?
Yeah. And they're like, no, it was R-U-L-E. Like, that's a thing Ja Rule would say regularly. And they're like, seriously, we thought she was asking a question all the time.
No, that every time I think of stuff like that, it reminds me of one of my favorite Joe Budden meltdowns from his podcast of when they go over like what is pop, and like they're arguing over this song, and at one point he just yells out, Ja Rule wrote it.
Speaking of which, by the way, I can't believe this Pusha T argument that's happening all over Twitter
What
right
is
now.
this? Why is this?
Jim Jones got to get out of here.
What happened? I don't know the story. What is the story on
You
this?
got to listen to the clip. There's a clip of Jim Jones on from Rap Caviar, and there he's saying basically that Pusha's not in his top 50 rappers. And
well, so they were specifically talking about that Rolling Stone list that came out of the top 50 rappers, and they were saying that Pusha T doesn't belong on that list. What? And
he's not top 50. And Jimmy is pretty adamant. There's another guy on there, can't remember his name, wearing a white hoodie, and he's like, yeah, but does he have any classic albums or classic songs outside of clips? And I'm just like, what? And it's like you can't just throw the clip stuff out. First of all, you can't do that. And then he was
I hate when people do that. Besides this, well, there is no besides this because he has that.
I mean, the points they were trying to make was that you can't put him up there without. I mean, because the point Jimmy was saying was, and like if he wasn't trying to hammer it in so hard, because he was starting to sound like a hater at one point, but like he was
starting to.
Well, so the point he was starting
he was a big time hater from the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, the point he was starting with, and again, you're mucking up the criteria of the list because we're talking about rappers, not song makers. Because he was like, you don't hear Pusha T tracks outside. You don't go to the club and hear Pusha T tracks and all of that.
That's not true.
And then they were like, well, you hear clips. And he's like, well, then put clips on the list. But don't say Pusha T because Pusha T didn't have hits like that.
These arguments are always like, well, what about Black Thought? He was in the Roots and you're not going to count Black Thought. Black Thought can't fucking rap because there's not his songs playing. And he can rap better than
and I'm saying, like, if you're talking about,
you know what I mean? Like, if that's what we're talking about, that means you're disrespecting Black Thought and we're not about to do that.
Yeah, if you're saying hip hop artists, that's a different conversation than rappers. And I think that, so like, I don't know. I'm not in the mood, and I don't think it was correct to sit there and try to discredit Pusha because, especially the last couple of years, what Pusha's done. You know, I think Pusha has had. You can say Pusha hasn't had like hit singles like that, but you can then say that Pusha has had critically acclaimed albums.
Yes. Last year, everybody was saying Pusha T is my favorite album. Like every list of hip hop album was like Pusha T is number one.
It was in the top. It was at the top of every list last year.
What?
When
his last one too.
When I was really ready to cut it off is when he jumped to that point where he was like, yeah, but ain't nobody out here trying to be like Pusha. Ain't nobody trying to rap like Pusha. I was like, Jimmy, what are you saying, bro? And then at the end of it, then he was like, man, I put a bunch of rappers over it. And homie was like, Big Sean over Push. And he was like, yeah, easily. I was like, get the fuck out of here. What are you talking about?
Hold on.
Again, if you're talking about hit makers, maybe. If you're talking about simply rap prowess, no.
This was some big trolling.
Obviously,
not just
Big
trolling,
Sean.
it was some hating.
Yeah. Again, it's the argument that because we have this argument with wrestlers all the time, where they'll say, "Who's the best wrestler? The wrestler who made the most money, right?"
Yeah.
Or and so I feel like it was that conversation. I feel like Jim Jones really came off like Bully Ray in this conversation. That's who he was reminding me of, right? Where he's like,
God.
where
who made the most money?
Yeah, where he's like, who made the most money? Because he was, in a roundabout way trying to say that, why ain't I on this list? I made We Fly High. Like, why am I not?
Because you're not better than Push. If nobody else will tell you that, Jim, I will tell you that. You're not better than Push. When he tried to slide in there, Cameron over Push, and then he slid in there, Jim Jones, he was like, yeah. And I was like, no, you're not better than him. No. And then he got real nasty towards the end when he was like, yeah, NBA Youngboy over Push. I was like,
oh, yeah, he did say that. He said NBA Youngboy over Push. He absolutely... He said NBA Youngboy over Push. But again, if we're talking about hit makers versus rappers, but again, it's the same argument we hear wrestling all the time.
If they said, gun to your head, name one NBA Youngboy bar, dead. You would never see me again. That'd be the last time you ever saw me.
Listen, my brain's all over the side of this wall, bro.
What?
Done.
We're done.
He was bugging. And that's no knock at Sean. I like Sean. That's no knock at Cameron
Sean
either.
could fit.
But no.
Is that a knock at NBA Youngboy?
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, we're not doing Push like that. Nah,
I'm just kidding.
Nasty.
Them NBA Youngboy fans be out here. I'm kidding. He's a great rapper.
But that's still a nasty take, bro. Like, we're not doing that to Push.
And
man.
then for him to at any point to try to say he's better too is nasty.
Even I don't even like the whole.
Didn't Youngboy just drop a track with Nicki Minaj? Like I just heard it yesterday on the radio.
Yeah.
I don't even like the whole nobody wants to rap like him. That's just not true.
That's
like, what are you talking about?
But again, he's still talking about it from a money making standpoint. He's saying that he was like, where's Push's influence on the culture? Where's ain't nobody
got Arby's and McDonald's commercials.
I know, right?
Come on, bro. He dished the fish sandwich on
he
for
dished
Arby's.
the fish sandwich on TV.
He wrote, "I'm loving it, bro." Come on, I think
Cocaine Bear. Come on, bro. What are you talking about?
I think what he was attempting to do with the Big Sean thing and say that Pusha was like just a member of Kanye's entourage. No, he was the best rapper on that label for a minute.
Yeah. Oh, that was why he brought up Big Sean, because he was because he said that Pusha was never like the front man. And he said he's just a member of Kanye's entourage, and he was like, and then he said, and if we're talking about members of Kanye's entourage, I think Big Sean was better than Pusha.
That's crazy talk. Push was the best rapper on that label for a minute, man.
That was his label. Like, why do you he was running plays?
He was the president of the label.
Everything about it. This is crazy.
He was the president of the label.
No disrespect to this Big Sean though, because he gets a lot of disrespect. I think he can rap very, very well. He's a very good rapper, but he's not better than Push. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, and I'm a big fan of the Big Sean Hit Boy project he put out like last year.
Yeah,
I like Sean, but no, we're not doing
that. Like I get the conversation in that because I know that there's people who feel kind of similarly when they say like, why does everybody talk about Andre 3000 as the best when like y'all just sleep on Big Boy? Like there wouldn't be an Outcast without the two of them. Yeah, and so like when you put Andre 3000 on all these lists, but Big Boy never gets put on the list. Like I get where that conversation comes. We hear that all the time, right? But at the same time, that's recognizing the individual prowess of the artists. Right. Again, if we're talking about the top artists, if we're talking about hit makers, then Outkast has to be mentioned in the conversation. But if you're talking about the rappers, then you're specifically talking about Big Boy and Andre as separate entities.
Like Push is both though, because he killed it in Clips, and then he's been doing exceptional things for a long time as a solo artist.
He hasn't had a bad solo album, in my opinion.
No,
and
only a couple of them weak ass Kanye beats.
Yeah. I was sitting watching that video yesterday. Like, what is Jimmy talking about? Like,
He
he
tripping.
gotta get out of here.
Stay on the weather report, big dog.
DNC Digital says, peace and love, guys. I may be selective here, but Roman is reaching 1,000 days as Universal Champion. All records he's breaking are from the WWE Championship lineage. Do you feel it applies anyway? I mean, WWE picks and chooses when they want it to apply.
Yeah.
And so
If they decide that it applies to both, they're gonna write history.
I love how they've changed the Money in the Bank cash in so many times. Like sometimes the wrestler has to be standing up when they get in the ring. Sometimes it doesn't matter. Like they change it. It's like whatever the story talks about that day is what it is.
Whatever they want it to be that day.
Mm-hmm.
Jake says, Reg, sorry to hear about your favorite tag team, the Guns, losing. I guess many men do wish death upon them, SMH.
Blood in my eyes, dog.
Let's see. Mateo says, hi, guys. How do you feel about Cody's Instagram post? I don't know what Cody's Instagram post is.
Haven't seen it.
I guess I will open the old IG and let's go to the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes.
Man, I will say,
He said, a long week. I know last Sunday was not the result I'd hoped for, and I know many fans were disappointed as well. I make no excuses. I lost. I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you how much I enjoyed the ride until Sunday night, and furthermore, Monday night. I would like to thank, and then he thanks a bunch of people, the whole bunch of people. And then he says, in addition, Nick Khan for taking care of my family through the festivities. Lastly, the 200,000 fans who attended the weekend overall. Okay, you have to stop saying 200,000.
That bro put some sauce on it.
No, but you have to stop saying, like, because Hunter said it too. Hunter was like, we had 180,000 fans. No, you sold 180,000 tickets. Yes. But the fact that you had multiple people there, lots of people who were there both nights, you did not have 180,000 fans. But it's the same thing when like somebody says, Cody Rhodes himself will say, I won the Royal Rumble. I outlasted 30 other people or 29 other people. No, because you were number 30, and that would imply that no one was eliminated before you. That's not how that works.
You didn't get in the ring and there were 29 guys in there and you started tossing them out. There was like 3 guys left or something.
And he says, unwavering and motivating. I want to be a champion. This Monday, I hope to speak about my future with WWE and what may be next for me.
Son of a gun.
I mean, look, everybody's doing this right now. His future with WWE is that guy signed for like 5 years. Yes. He's going to be there. And they may even add 9 months on top of that because of the time he was gone.
He's not going anywhere.
Cody's not going anywhere.
He's having a blast there.
Yeah.
Man, I forgot to say that during the part we were talking about WrestleMania. Being in the building for that, man, shook the arena, bro.
Yeah, and they got to do it a few times.
Yeah, because the song shook the arena. One of the loudest reactions of the entire weekend.
They said loop the big dog's theme up because he ain't gonna have it afterwards.
Yep. No, that was the sign. The first sign I knew he was losing was when they went over to Brandy and Liberty before the match. And I went, isn't that a thing you do after somebody wins?
Let the boys soak it in. Give him his pyro. Let him kiss his wife, his baby, his mama, his little homie. And then disappointment all around.
Stupid.
John Merritt says, so any of you guys coming to London? No, because I will be I've already made my all-out travel plans for the following week. And I think...
far away, man.
I think my wife would kill me if I said, actually, I'm going to London the week before, and she's never been to London, so to be like, cool? Hey, I'm going to London without you, and then
no, not gonna work.
I do not currently have plans to go to London. If you are offering to pay to send us to London,
if y'all trying to flute us out, I'm out there. Yeah, what time?
Let's see. Coffee Black says, shout out to the Grapsody fam. Reg got to put that wrestling is about disappointment quote on a t-shirt.
You're right. I got to.
It's got to have the face too. It's got to have the Reg face from the meme.
Of course.
Yeah.
Somebody draw that.
Speaking of hip hop stuff, boy, I've been very forgiving of Drake stuff, but that Drake record he dropped with that Kim K sample, trash.
What a sick individual, man.
Trash.
His Lucy, I think he always does this.
Trash Lucy.
Because he knows that people are going to talk about him in extensive format, and they have been, and it works every single time, and then he's going to drop an album, people are going to forget about it. But we see you, Drake. We know what you're doing. You're a nasty individual.
And he's dropped other Lucy's I really like. This one wasn't it, but
Not so much.
this was not it.
Tamel says, why did people expect Cody to beat Roman on his first try when it took a couple tries for Roman to climb the Brock Mountain? But that sucked. That was the thing people were saying about Roman was, in addition to him being overpushed, they're like, it's not just that you're overpushing him, it's that you're overpushing him and then failing to commit. Yeah. And they were like, the failure to commit to Roman is also harming his babyface run. Look, don't ever use, I will say this to anybody, Tamel included. Roman's babyface run is not the example for anything other than what not to do, because that should be considered a flop in every regard. Roman Reigns is a very successful heel, possibly the most successful heel of all time. I think he's going to be considered an all-time great. That babyface run, though, should be considered a flop in every regard. Nothing about that worked.
He was stuck in the Brock vortex. That was not good. Him, Braun Strowman, Samoa Joe for a little bit. Everybody was stuck in the Brock vortex, and it was bad. We all hated it.
Yeah, so to answer your question, why did we think this was going to be different? Because I foolishly thought that this company would learn their lesson, and they tricked me, and I will never be tricked again, because I learned I learned this last weekend that they will never learn. They will keep making the same mistakes.
Yeah.
Last year says, finally, AEW lets Jade have longer matches more often lately. I want to see her against Emi Sakura. Give them 15 minutes and let them tear the house down. How was the match with Billy Starks last night? I didn't get a chance to see that.
I haven't seen it either. Have you seen it, Phil?
I thought it was pretty good. I really like the way they're building up Taya as her next opponent. I thought that we weren't going to get that match by Double or Nothing, but it seems like they're trying to stretch this out, so maybe we are.
Yeah, Double or Nothing is going to sneak up on us. Wrestle Voice says, love you guys and the positivity you bring to the black community. With Sonata going over last night, which pay-per-view do you see Okada participating in and against whom? Also, what is the main event for Forbidden Door, All Out 2, and All In?
I don't know, man. I don't know what is the plan for Okada next. He's been champion long enough. You could build stories around him not being champion. I'm interested to see where this goes for Sonata. I don't know. Forbidden Door, that main event is kind of wide open at the moment.
I think they might do Ken and Will at the All In show.
I honestly, at all
healthy by then.
Yeah.
At All In, honestly, I would do Kenny and Max, honestly. But no, main event. So specifically saying main event, I genuinely think that if you don't main event with Jamie Hayter, that's a missed opportunity, especially considering the first stadium show AEW ran, they main evented with Ruby Soho and Britt Baker. And I think that when you have a homegrown
Saraya against Saraya,
a UK talent in Jamie Hayter, to give her a moment like that in front of those fans would be the biggest thing they could do. I think that they'd all be for it, and I think it would be a mistake. Yeah.
they would go nuts. Yeah,
I think it would be the biggest reaction of the night, having Jamie Hayter close out that show.
People are just going insane out there. Yeah, that'd be a great movie.
Honestly, I think if you want to like kind of screw the fans a little bit at All In, you could go MJF.
Please don't.
No, what I was gonna say is on one side of it, you could do AEW World Title MJF versus Pac, right? Like a match we've never seen before, and you'd have the fans all behind Pac, but not give them what they want because you know MJF's gonna win that. But then on the other side of it, you send them home happy with a Jamie Hayter victory.
Yeah.
I definitely think that they should get the Rev Pro British Heavyweight Championship on that card somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know what is the plan for Great O'Khan, who is the current champion, but he should defend the belt at that show.
And I think
I'm all in on this now. All of a sudden, MJF versus Pac. Why didn't I ever think of that? That's like,
I think in the All Out main event, that should be where Ken faces Max.
Yeah, I think you've got to do Kenny versus Max really soon.
Yeah.
But also, I kind of now think that Kenny should be the guy to beat Max. I wasn't sure if he should be the guy, but his last few babyface appearances have all performed well. I mean, ratings-wise, they performed well. The crowds are into him. People want to see Kenny as lead babyface right now.
I thought the show this week missed him. Like it did. Having him the last couple of weeks, it's been like, yeah, Kenny Omega, and I think it should continue to be that.
And he was there. You saw the video, I'm sure. Shout out Victor, but he brought the
Oh
wrestling
yeah,
club. Yeah, I saw a couple pictures.
that
I don't
was
think
so
they've been posted
cool,
yet,
man.
but I saw the pictures with Jade in them, and it was really cool. But yeah,
So cool.
Kenny was excited to meet them. I was told that the story was that Kenny heard they were in the building and wait, the wrestling club is here, and he ran to see them because he was that excited.
He was in his basketball shorts. And he was like,
Yeah,
he looked like he was like in a locker room just hanging out.
right.
Yeah, and that's how that went. Was that he's like, wait, from Twitter, the wrestling club, they're here.
From Twitter?
Yeah,
I love it.
we gotta get Victor on the show, man.
And Kenny went and saw them. It wasn't a case of like they were like asking to meet Kenny. That's how much of a fan of them Kenny was, and he like brought them the IWGP belt.
One of them was holding the belt in the picture. So
yeah,
cool,
no, that
man.
was cool. Yeah,
that's
good
amazing. On them. Yeah, shout out to Victor for getting them to WrestleMania this weekend and actually giving those kids some great experiences. Getting them backstage at the show at UBS. That's dope.
They gonna have to get Victor the Warrior Award.
I know, right?
He's named next year. This is crazy.
Straight up.
Yeah,
no,
like,
straight up. They do need to give him this Warrior Award. But no, I saw him for a brief second at Supercard of Honor. I saw him walking in. And I said hello.
I didn't get a chance to say, like, I saw the kids across the way. I saw where they were sitting, and I wanted to say hi. I didn't get a chance to because I got into Supercard late, and then I had to go to the media scrum. Media scrum I was not intending to go to, by the way. When I walked in there, they were like, we have an extra head here all of a sudden because you weren't on the list, Will. And I'm like, yeah, I know.
I'm here.
I wasn't intending on being here, but
that was so funny. The end of the scrum is just the three of us asking questions back to back.
Yeah,
because Grapsody's here.
I was like, all right, I'll complete the Grapsody line, all three of us. Because Phil asked this question and it was Reg, and I was like, all right, I'll go next.
Can't take us nowhere, man. I mean, if you're gonna let us ask questions, we're going to ask questions every single time. Like, oh, no one else.
Hey,
hand me the mic.
You got the credit though. That was like the first thing at the beginning. Tony Khan was like, "Righteous Reg," was the one who said it last year, and it created the.
We did it.
It created the line that
this show. Phil got all in going. Like, come on, man. Come on, man.
Darren says WWE Draft made no sense when wrestlers are on both shows. Also, you see La Rosa Negra Twitter, her and Tessa made up.
I did see that.
I did see that as well. I saw the picture. Brian Idol also said they had a follow-up chat on Monday too.
So it's like I don't know.
I did see Tessa at WrestleCon. I don't know, man. I don't want to be the guy to be like, it's too late for anybody to get forgiveness. But I do think that she waited so long, and
it's been a long time, Phil.
Yeah, I think that's gonna hurt her reception with a lot of people because this could have been done years ago, and
right.
This goes all the way back to before the pandemic. Like,
yes.
So, I know, right? That was when it came out. Was before the pandemic. Yeah. Forget about when it happened.
Right.
It came out before the pandemic.
It's been
literally
3 years.
Minimum. I mean that Tessa tweet, by the way, is gonna go down as like, when you see those moments before unfortunate events. That tweet from Tessa talking about women should just support each other.
Support women, a good thing happen for you. Oh, Tessa. I don't know. I don't know if this is leading to anything. Hopefully, La Rosa's in a good place, and she's in a good place to forgive her after that. And that's what I'm concerned about. Everything that else that happens after that, I don't know.
Yes, and it's all about La Rosa. However, La Rosa feels about it, because it's all on her back at this point.
Yeah, she was the one that was wrong, and I think it also should be said that if Rosa forgives her, that doesn't mean, all right, just accept her back then.
Yeah.
Because it seems like she wronged a bunch of other individuals as well. And so I think if she wants to make amends, she has to be honest and accountable about what actually happened.
And speaking of WrestleCon, we would be remiss to not say rest in peace to Bushwhacker Butch for passing away this week. It happened at WrestleCon. Like, he flew, apparently, like, this is the first time he flew over to America in like a decade, and it seems like his body just couldn't handle it. So this stuff happened at the WrestleCon hotel, like the first day that everything was supposed to go down. So rest in peace to him. the Bushwhacker. We've talked about that fucking Family Matters episode on this show before.
Yeah.
Like when we were coming up as young kids in the early 90s, the Bushwhackers were like that tag team they were in all the video games.
I have
all
the action figure.
advertisements.
I have the action figure that has the arms like that, and you push the button and it goes.
Yes, I had that one too. Like they were the tag team to do. They were, if you were imitating a wrestler at the time, like somebody's gonna imitate the Bushwhackers with the fucking thing. So yeah, rest in peace to that crazy story, crazy everything.
Let's see. We got Sal says, based on some of the recent reports, that Drew Galloway pop it all in is going to be insane. His contract's not up to. He's got 9 months to go. So
right. That's like everybody. What's going on? He has a long time to go.
There's plenty of time to work this out. I am not willing to say, because I know some people are definitively saying, "Oh, he's going to stay." I'm not willing to say that for anything till it happens, because look, we are in a very different industry than we were 4 years ago. Nothing is guaranteed. But that's
he's probably not going to be at All In, but that's definitely a decision that he's looking at. Like, whoa, that's something. Like, it's lit.
Look, guys, this is the most fun time in wrestling in a long time when it comes to free agency, because the idea that there's so many implications around every decision that's happening. I mean, look, the other big topic of the week, Jay White.
Yeah.
Jay White showed up in AEW.
Off rip. They said, welcome to Dynamite. And he was running out there like that's Tony didn't wait for 1 minute.
And it's weird. I'm not used to this right now. But Jay White is a company guy. And people forget that sometimes because all of a sudden he's just posting all this AEW stuff. And he's like, but it's weird seeing Jay White, who like a week ago wasn't an AEW wrestler. And now he's in AEW promotional mode because he's like, this is my company now. He said, we got to call this JEW now. And I thought, this is where we're at now. Like Jay White is an AEW
Tony sent that
guy.
check. He said, all right, bro, just link me to the AEW socials and we going to go for it.
And he's they're promoting Rampage, promoting Dynamite coming up this week. And it doesn't even sound right because like that's, like I'm used to Jay White being like, when Jay White works American wrestling companies, it's always like kind of in a freelance kind of way.
Yeah.
So therefore, I would never expect him to promote an American wrestling company the way he's doing right now, but he has suddenly become this company guy. Like to the point of where I almost wonder, the first time I would have heard Jay White say WWE Universe, I might have like lost it.
It'd have been really weird.
Just a little bit. But there he is. He did sign with AEW. Literally a week ago, we were asking on the show what we expected, and we were all kind of like, okay.
A lot of people kind of expected to see him at WrestleMania.
Yeah. I thought it was cool that they flipped that entrance on his head, because we all thought it was Jay White a few weeks ago. Like, wait a minute, Bullet Club, and it was like, oh no, it's Juice. And so this week it was like it's Juice, and then it was like, dun, 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 dun. I was like, wait, Knife Pervert is here? Like, what's going on?
And then he got the All Elite graphic, so it wasn't even just like he's here making an appearance, because I thought maybe that's what this is, just an appearance. But apparently he's been signed, which then begs the question: why is Adam Cole feuding with Chris Jericho?
What the hell happened here?
Is that official yet?
What, that he's feuding with Jericho?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Jericho literally cut a promo on him this week.
Oh, he did. Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
He did. I don't want it.
No, you know that's where they're going double or nothing, is Adam Cole versus Chris Jericho.
Chris Jericho and Keith Lee this week. That's fun.
Yeah, that's fun and that's different. And they're finding ways right now. I knew it. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, this is how we reintroduce Swerve versus Keith Lee to Dynamite, because it's been mostly on Rampage as they try to retool what's going on with Swerve. And now that they've kind of got that going, now Swerve is being reintroduced to Dynamite. Keith is being reintroduced to Dynamite in separate matches, but I have a feeling by the end of the night it'll all come together.
Chris Jericho just had to get him a piece, you greedy son of a bitch.
But yeah, the whole Jay White thing, of course, we all were sitting here saying WWE because every report for weeks was saying that that's where he was going, and
WWE thought it was. They had creative ready for him.
Even their little social, their BT Sports, they're all like, "Hey, Jay White, is he going to be here too?"
Yeah,
like everybody was kind of in on it.
Everything seemed to be pointing his direction, but once that merger happened, and it seems like their signing practices have changed for now. I don't know if that's confirmed, but it would make sense with the merger. And I
don't even know if it's the merger as much as it was the preparation for the merger. I think it was the second that they said we're preparing this company to sell. My thought is, since Vince has been back, and he came back January. Since Vince came back in January, I don't believe they've signed anybody since then. And so I think it was a case of kind of freezing up the rosters and basically making no new expenditures while they prepare the company for sale. And they haven't signed anybody. Last new person to debut, was Chelsea Green? And I think she was already signed at that point. They were just waiting to debut her.
Yeah, and I mean we've heard the reports of other people that were supposed to come in that we haven't seen yet, which is weird. Like, where's Eric Young? This guy died on Impact Television because I thought he was going there.
Hasn't been brought back to life.
We haven't seen him. So
there was the rumors of both Hikuleo and Tamatonga, and they.
Oh yeah, Dragon Lee is the last signing.
Dragon Lee, that's right.
Dragon Lee, right? And that's more NXT. And if the plan for Jay White was NXT,
don't do it.
Don't do it.
That would have been awful. That would have been absolutely awful.
Could you imagine him walking out on that fucking stage in front of those? Oh God,
no, I cannot. But yeah, so I thought for the longest that's where this was going. The merger, of course, changes everything. Just preparation for it, and it seems like I don't want to be predicting it, but it seems like layoffs could be coming because it's a merger, and that's usually what follows is layoffs.
I had a wrestler jokingly send me a message that said, "Ooh, if I were Karrion Kross, I'd be finding a barrel to hide in right now." Because, I mean, look,
whoopsie.
I watched SmackDown last night, but I actually want to think about that. I'm going to pull up the SmackDown results.
SmackDown.
I'm just curious about something SmackDown.
What do you guys think is going to be the big change in this draft thing? Like, how are they going to get people? Because right now, I'm like, what is it? Are they going to try to make more distinction here? Like, what's the point of this shit?
You've got to move some women to SmackDown immediately.
Gotcha.
SmackDown's women's division has been hurting for a minute, and I think they've got to shake up that division in particular because it's not looking all that great over there. I think bringing Rhea over is a good sign. They definitely needed her, but they need more star power in that women's division over there.
You think there's a tag title match on Monday? You think Raquel and who's Raquel's partner? Is it Liv Morgan?
Yes.
I don't know who it is. You think they're going to beat Becky and
no
Lita? No? Okay.
No. I think they're still building towards Ronda and Shayna possibly.
Oh, I forgot.
And it's probably not going to happen until they do, because they are going to do the Trish heel turn, because I guess they want to do Trish and Becky at SummerSlam.
Okay.
Which would be dope.
Yeah, I like that.
And so I was correct. I needed to go up and down the SmackDown card from last night. Nobody who was re-signed by Hunter last year was on that show last night.
Damn, man.
And so, like, nobody from that run, the Hit Row, Karrion Kross, even Braun was. When Ricochet came out, they were like, Braun was told to stay behind.
Oh my God!
And because it was Ricochet Ricochet versus Ivar, and so they left Eric backstage, and they said Braun was left backstage. But I thought, damn, Bray Wyatt, nobody that they re-signed under Hunter's regime was on that show.
Good luck to them.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm of two minds with this Jay White thing. I was interested to see what kind of risk he would have taken if he would have went to WWE. I was interested to see how he tried to change his character or how they repackaged him and see if he could thrive in that situation. Now, I think it was a safer bet to go to AEW because he's got people who's already worked there. He's got ready-made storylines for him.
A bunch.
He's got established rivalries that he could go into. It would have been more risky for him to go there, but I also think the risk could have been worth the reward because he's been doing the same thing for about 4 or 5 years now. And that's not to say that it's not good, but if he wanted to do something drastically different, I could see why he would have wanted to go there. And so part of me does wonder what WWE run would have looked like for him. Now, could have dodged a bullet. Very much could have. I don't want
That's a misconception that people have been having this time too, is that he didn't want to go to WWE. And I think
he
for a
definitely
long
wanted to go
time in his brain, he wanted to go to WWE.
No, he's talked about it more than once. When he was on Renee's podcast, she asked him about it. And Russ said outright that he went and started training to be a wrestler after he went to WrestleMania.
Right.
So, no, I do think a part of him would have liked to go in there. I think he was leaving his options open, but if he had the chance, I think he would have gone there.
WrestleMania, man, it's still a thing for a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of wrestlers still see that as the ultimate stage to go to. It's the biggest. It's the biggest stage to go to in your profession.
Right.
But I do think AEW is a good spot for him for a lot of reasons as well. I think that, like I said, he's got plenty of storylines he can jump into immediately there. He could still do some stuff with New Japan if he wants. And I think that, he's got a core audience that already knows him, not just because that audience is familiar with New Japan, but because he showed up there before. Right. So I think that there are a lot of good reasons for him to go there. I hope that he doesn't get lost in the shuffle. That was kind of my worry with him going there.
That is a worry.
Because you're leaving a spot where you were still in the main event scene. You were just IWGP World Heavyweight Champion at the beginning of this year. Do I think that he's going to be in a world title picture with AEW anytime soon? No, I don't.
Oh, somebody sent me
this. Not good.
Sorry, keep going.
Sorry. No, I was gonna say that's not to say that he's not good enough, but I just think with where the title scene is right now, I don't see him being slotted in anytime soon.
Right.
Somebody sent me a Tony Khan tweet that I apparently missed from a week ago, where he did say that. Oh, and it was from the night of Supercard of Honor, that the match for the Briscoes was supposed to be the Lucha Bros.
Oh, I see.
That makes sense.
Okay, that does make sense.
There's the answer to that question.
That matchup last night was weird of Hobbs and QT versus the Lucha Bros. But it ended up being a fun match. I can't be too upset with it.
For a card that I saw it and I thought, oh, they're kind of punting on this Battle of the Belts show, especially for being a live show. Yeah, I hear it was fun.
It was kind of a passable show, but it was.
We just got the Battle of the Belts just to call it the Battle of the Belts when we know nobody's gonna lose their belts. I don't know if I'm super into the concept.
Yeah, I'd rather they just be 2-hour rampages.
That's it. Just say that.
But it's because that is what it is. I mean, they kicked off some cool stuff. Like I heard that the thing I want to go watch is I heard Julia Hart and Anna Jay actually had a really good match.
Huh.
Yeah, from Rampage.
From Rampage, yeah. And then it led into Orange Cassidy having his title defense, and apparently they're going to do Orange Cassidy versus Buddy?
They are. I thought Darby versus Lee was also good from Rampage.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I watched like 30 minutes of it before I finally passed out, and I got to Swerve and the Embassy, and Brian Cage murdering Darby Allin.
My God, Darby taking that F5 like a crazy maniac.
Insane. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, this should be good. And again, the Embassy I think was the right one. I think that
I like it.
I think that's a good pick, and I know some people were saying they wanted to see Shane Taylor promotions, but look, Shane Taylor I think is getting over as a face right now, and I think that Shane Taylor promotion should kind of focus on going with what works and play up the history. Keep him with Keith, and then like I said, having a little bit of again, you have Khan there who, if you go with the rivalry, there's places to go there. But D'Lo says. Cole with the Generico shout out. Man, he was in his bag. Aaron Busby says, I think we need to call KO Mr. Night One. That's a good name for him. Orion Ben says, who was more outside, Cam or Phil? No offense, Phil, but Cam.
Cam was out.
That was Seahawk. Seahawk definitely tried to hit me with that. I'm trying to get like you, and I was like, bro, you were on stage with Wale.
Come on. Come on, Cam.
I seen Cam a bunch of times. Couldn't be more happy for him and everything he's getting to do. I seen him a bunch of times during WrestleMania weekend, and one of the times I saw him heading into the press box when I got there, and I was looking at his pass, and I was looking at my media credentials. I was like, "Now your pass doesn't look like mine. Yours gets you in different doors than I get in."
Different passes.
Definitely different passes. No, there's no competition with him ever. I think what he's doing is great.
Yeah,
I agree.
And it was really good to see him out thriving during WrestleMania weekend.
Let's see. Jake Salazar says, according to Alfred, I guess Cody is a held down black man. What y'all's thoughts? I ain't thinking about none of that.
We don't pay attention to his takes on the show.
Yes, thank you.
The Aftermath Pro Wrestling Podcast says, hey, Will, hope the house situation is improving. Well, I've had fans running to dry out the water for 3 days now, and I just had to turn them off for this show because they're loud as fuck. Like literally my house has just been humming for 3 days, and so as soon as the show's over I got to turn them back on.
House sounding like Kid Cudi.
Burn Knuckle says, am I the only one vibing to the Guns mini-man entrance? No,
yes, you're the only one. No, we hate it here. Oh, y'all didn't hate it? Just me?
Yes, boy says, looking forward to -1 beating Roman for the titles.
Yeah, you'll probably be 18 by the time this happens.
Eloquent says, am I the only person who doesn't hate Finlay as Bullet Club leader? He's no Jay White, but he deserves a chance to cook. Also, I wanted Kenta to lead.
No, I'm not with Finlay as leader.
Not in it.
And
yeah.
I think he's gonna get booted eventually.
Yeah, not for me. I like Kenta though.
Yeah, come on, Kenta versus CM Punk should be the move eventually.
And we just kind of answered this for the prediction from Robert Aquatic, predictions for All In main event. Like I said, I think Jamie Hayter, I would do Jamie versus Britt. I know that Saraya is probably going to have a big presence at that show because she's Saraya and she's also from the UK. So like she should be there and she should have a spot on the card. I don't know if I would give her that match though.
Do a big cool 6-woman match with Outcast versus a team of
you can play that off.
Something.
5-star says, what's up, guys? What do you think about aligning Swerve with Scorpio Sky? Or would you like to see them wrestle against each other? I think they're too different to align with
way
each other.
different. Yeah, they're not in the same vibe.
Get Scorpio and Ethan back together. That's my thoughts.
Yes, now that they don't have Dan Lambert, agreed.
Yeah, get Men of the Year back together.
Yes.
Grim says, shout out Grapsody. Y'all stay killing it. Shout out to that little girl who lost her mom. She's really brave. I agree. I think that was that made me want to cry on when I heard about that during the post show.
Yeah. For context, if people don't know, one of the little girls in Bianca's entrance, her mother passed away, and she still did the performance anyway.
Like that day, right?
Passed away that day.
Yeah. It was that day. And yeah, really horrible, but what a moment for her. Hopefully she's doing well, and she had a great WrestleMania weekend.
Trust the Process 34 says, in what ways could you see WWE try to sabotage the All In show? Counter program NXT show or something more?
They're definitely going to counter program at minimum.
Counter program at NXT shows is bizarre because, like, what are you going to do? NXT going up against Double or Nothing at the same time. And I know that WWE is going to attempt to do the thing of pulling in wrestling media, right? Like they've already said, Shawn Michaels said, I want more wrestling media at these shows. And so, of course, how do you divide wrestling media going to Double or Nothing or going to NXT? What show is that? Battleground?
Where is it at? It's like in Salisbury, Maryland.
No, it is Lowell, Massachusetts. Lowell, Massachusetts. The same place. I don't think it's the same arena, but the same place that Death Before Dishonor was last year.
Do you want to go to Vegas and have a good time Memorial Weekend at AEW, or do you want to go to Lowell?
Oh, yeah. Look, I'm not going to lie. Like, we're talking about this trip, which is a work trip, Double or Nothing. But yesterday we were having conversations about it, and we're like, all right, let's make sure this place we get has a hot tub. And
You're trying to have a good time. It's Vegas.
Right.
What are you and T trying to get into? What
also, I'm like, what?
And like, it's also Cher Delaware's birthday that weekend, so we're like, all right, what other shenanigans are we getting into?
Y'all trying to make me?
I don't know what y'all talking about. Hot tub. I don't know if I'm heading where y'all room at.
I, on the other hand, will be right there. That sounds like a great plan.
I know.
Who all gonna be there?
Who all gonna be there? It's hilarious.
Like, no,
everybody that was
this
saying
is
that's
Vegas.
what FDR did is hilarious. When FDR was like, "Who all gonna be there?" Oh, Vince did.
Nah.
I will say the jokes were good as far as the FTR stuff was concerned. Shane Monster says, Monet versus Mayu. 2 ragdoll physics bumpers. Something hilariously wild is going to happen. Hope Stardom gets English commentary sorted for that pay-per-view, though.
Yeah, very much looking forward to that match. I want Mayu to have her moment because, she was this close to being the first IWGP Women's Champion. So I think she's going to come out and have a great performance this time around. I think this could possibly outdo the Kyrie match. I don't think that's a stretch just based on who Mayu is. Looking forward to that match.
They definitely try to outdo that match.
Tony P says, I meant TK is about to start laying the training wheels off the women finally on the cutoff chat. Oh, okay. I got what you meant now, Tony. Thank you. Appreciate you. Still just going through chats, trying to get as many of these as I can. I don't want to miss anybody's shout out. Smiley saying, afternoon boys, last night West Coast Pro show was amazing. Reggie, buy me a ticket to LA. Love you guys.
Okay, Tracy, here's your ticket to LA. What do you think I'm made out of money? You think I'm Mr. Moneybucks? Love you, friend.
Yeah, shout out Tracy. I've been seeing Tracy at shows. We haven't seen her recently.
Yes, she's gonna be at some WWE SummerSlam or something.
Detroit,
WWE
yeah.
SummerSlam.
I will not be in Detroit because Mike, it's the weekend of the cruise I'm going on, and it was either go to Detroit or go chill on an island.
Yeah, you don't want to go to Detroit.
Island, yeah. You want to go to Detroit? Gracie's like, you're coming. I'm like, to Detroit.
Look, I've been to Detroit.
I live in Oakland.
Look, I lived in Detroit for a while.
On vacation, not the same thing I see every day.
My daughter was born at University of Michigan Hospital in Ann Arbor. I love it, but also because I love it, I love it because I know it, and because I know it, that's not a place I want to go for fun.
Yeah. Shout out to all the homies in Detroit, though.
Yeah, shout out Detroit.
That's shit out there.
Kyrian says, Roman's championship reign is just Triple H Reign of Error 2.0. Hey, at least that had pauses. Triple H's Reign of Terror went on, but he lost the belt for a month here, a month there.
Roman ain't losing.
It's basically the Brock reign all over again.
Yeah.
That's basically
Rovan sent one in. Thank you. Jake Salazar says, I said Roman was winning as a joke, but when he actually won, I was howling. Legit started coughing. I was laughing so hard.
There's some sickos out
there.
I
just kind of looked around. That reaction in the Seahawk video where he was like, that was legitimately my reaction. I just was like, well, guess I'm going to head back to this hotel. What we getting into tonight? We in and out? That sounds good. Burgers? Yeah, let's do that.
Mac from BK, love Mac, says, Cody should have finished his story. Glad Sonata got to finish his. And Chi-Town Phil speaking bad about Chicago basketball legend is nasty work.
How's that nasty work?
Who's the nasty work, him or Isaiah?
He has made a point to claim Detroit. He'll claim Chicago when he feels like it sometimes, but no, he made his choice, man. And again, I said he's one of the best players to come out of Chicago. I always give his credit as a basketball player. Him as a person, not so much.
Nah, he said Mike got to check in with him and Chief Keef when he come to Chicago.
Bro, when he tried to tell that lie that he made it safe for him out here, I was like, yo, he got to stop this capping, bro. It's really a sickness at this point, bro. Mm-hmm. He got to stop it, man.
LAB Glass says, I take a recycled HBK storyline than the shit we're dealt with. Or we were dealt. Maybe.
Trying to think of
speaking of which, they turned Braun Breaker heel this week. And I thought that was very necessary. for a number of reasons. Yesterday, I was at Lucha Libre and Laughs. The first thing that they did at the show to kick the show off, they're like, "Hey, everybody, can we get a fuck Rick Steiner on 3? 1, 2, 3."
Right.
Yeah. And everybody starts chanting, "Fuck Rick Steiner." And,
Well deserved.
but then,
definitely.
so there's that. There's the bad press, but then also just.
Just his character.
I just said Braun's not ready as a babyface to go up to the main roster. I think he needs to kind of do a little bit of exploration of who he is and what he is, and I think turning him heel. By the way, I didn't know people didn't know that production rule when I tweeted that on Wednesday. I tweeted that there's a production rule that WWE has, which is that, and it's been in place since about 2002. There's a few times that they haven't done it in like 04-ish, but I feel like once the production really became refined around like 07, it was set. But it's a strict, like Kevin Dunn, Vince McMahon rule, which is you never play music after a heel turn. If somebody turns heel, silence. You do not play their theme music. Like Tony doesn't have that rule. And I've noticed that in like Samoa Joe turned heel, but then his music started playing. Ruby Soho turned heel and her music played. And I thought that was a mistake because her theme music's too upbeat for that.
People like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But it is a strict WWE rule, which is when somebody turns, you let it sit. You don't play their music. You don't. You just let the audience's boos resonate. And sometimes that hasn't worked. By the way, they've had people turn. Like I remember when Ryback turned, but the crowd was cheering because he's beating up John Cena, and and I thought, and people were like, "Was that really a turn?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, there was no music there. That's a turn, but it wasn't supposed to be."
Wake up! We got a Ryback reference on our show. It's crazy out here.
But yeah, because this Monday on Raw was a good example. They didn't. When Brock was done with Cody, you didn't hear. Nope, it was.
And he beat him. And beat him. And beat him.
Alvarez is going
beat
nuts.
him. Alvarez is crazy.
Yeah, so that is an absolute rule in production, though. WWE production, they will never play music after a heel turn.
No song.
And if they do play music, it's not a turn. That's just a babyface attacking somebody. Yeah, and that's happened plenty of times. And so that's the way you're supposed to look at that.
Yeah,
we got another.
When you really think about it now, too, like Cody losing and then proceeding to be just beaten and humiliated the next Monday, it's just like, what are you guys doing, man? Like, what were you thinking, man?
That's insane.
Steph, the writer, says, and they clearly don't want Gunther to lose. So what do these guys have to fight for?
Yeah, we didn't talk about the after the Drew McIntyre. The homies had a 5-star match.
5-star.
Three-way.
Best match I saw this weekend.
It was worth every penny of it. Those boys were scrapping.
Yeah,
Yes.
Gunther's getting it in, but I think there's also a clear direction they're going with Gunther. I wouldn't be surprised if Sheamus is the guy to beat him, because it seems like they've been building up this ongoing threat between them for his entire reign.
There's an accolade that Gunther's about to hit that I saw online that I'm guessing.
Yeah, probably so, but I could see Sheamus being the guy to beat him. If not,
yeah, it feels like that's where this story has been leading for a while now. That Sheamus will be the one. So
yeah,
and Gunther's got to be in the world title hunt, right?
Yeah, if not, I feel like there's money in turning Drew heel as well. So I don't know. Either way, I thought that WrestleMania match was really good. One of the best matches of the weekend.
And apparently they pulled Drew from SmackDown yesterday, or not pulled, but like something's going on. That's also speculation of he still has 9 months. You guys don't forget.
And Wade Keller, who tends to be pretty on the ball with this stuff, said that he basically said that there's some unhappiness with Drew's creative and the money offered. So we'll see.
Yep.
And we also got Jose Flores says Roman could be Cole's. Damn you, Triple H. Damn you, go to hell. Like I know we should be seeing more hatred toward Roman on the show for how much of a hostage, how much he's held the titles hostage. And the fact that we don't see that, I think, is a little weird.
But instead, they're all just acknowledging him.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, if you want to go with what you just said about Drew is one of the few people in the company that's like, yeah, I'm ready for y'all to split those titles up.
Yeah, if anybody.
He's one of the few people that's actually come out and said that publicly. So take that how you will.
Let's see. Lapglass just sent us a super chat. Appreciate that. Jose Flores says, Finley being Bullet Club leader is like watching someone play Bullet Club leader. The
That's how I
dude
feel.
just doesn't have the aura to be a leader, kind of dorky.
He doesn't have it, and then on top of it, I think we're used to Bullet Club leaders coming in and immediately having success and proving why they're at the top. He came straight in and lost. He came straight in and lost the New Japan Cup. So, no, it just doesn't feel like it's him.
That's not the way of a leader.
Albert Ponce says, so glad to see the men's tag titles finally off the bloodline and actually being defended. Oh, wait, never mind. LOL. TK needs to sign Billy Starks. I mean, it sounds like they're probably on track for that.
Yeah.
Especially the way she was used on TV.
She was supposed to do an appearance and she got pulled from it to do the show. So
Amber saying, are you guys coming to Wembley for All In? I wish, but I'll be at All Out the next week. But you guys like
Wembley.
Brought it right back, baby. Love it.
Gotham guy says, I actually like Sammy's promo about MJF. He made good points. It's just a shame that it fell on deaf ears. Then again, he was in MJF's hometown. I thought it went on too long. I had that rap. I was like hitting the wrap it up box. I wanted
it up, B.
Wrap that gavel up, B. No, I wanted. I wanted. I think he could have made those same points in less words. Yeah, and less is more with certain promos, and I think he should have.
I didn't like it. I think it was the pauses. I think it was the pauses for me because he'd make a point and then he'd sit there for a while and it looked like he was waiting for a reaction. And then when the reaction didn't come, he looked kind of like confused and then he'd jump back into the promo. It wasn't good, man.
Yeah.
Worst promo of the week, though, was definitely Claudio on ROH. Oh, my God. Don't let this guy talk if that's what he's going to do. They sent him out there without any idea. They're like, well, who's your next opponent? Who do you want your next opponent to be, Claudio? And he didn't have any idea. He was just like, anybody with honor. It's like, if you're going to tell this guy to do a promo, give him some fucking direction. You guys.
Well, yeah, because the stuff he did with Eddie was great, but that's with direction. Yeah. So I didn't see Ring of Honor this week, but I'll get a chance to watch it. Van Twinblade said, I just saw the video of SRS and Shaza. So many haters on the Twitter machine, and Sean just out there street sweeping in the replies. Jeff
I don't know
Gators.
if I would have used that word, but all right.
He said, went to SmackDown last night and Defy tonight. Excited for Swerve Wayne 2 was my match of the year 2022. Will we see a new champ crowned or WrestleMania Night 2 Part 2?
I think Wayne's gonna win.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be WrestleMania Part 2 tonight.
I don't know.
I mean, you never know.
Yeah, I kind of feel like Wayne's gonna win.
Yeah.
Let's see. Johnny says, best match and pay-per-view so far this year. Best match this year, I think, is still Kenny and Ospreay. I have yet to see a match as good as that this year. And best pay-per-view this year.
I liked Revolution.
But I also liked WrestleMania Night 1. So I've had great... Look, I am not complaining right now. I am eating good as a wrestling fan.
Straight up.
But right now, my match of the year is still Kenny and
Ospreay.
Yeah, I think it's Kenny and Ospreay too. I guess in order to be a little bit different, you could throw the triple threat from WrestleMania up there. I think that match was really good.
And just for my spot food little brain, Vikingo and Commander, just because I was there live, like I'd probably say that because, hey, yo.
Let's see. Anime Otaku said, speaking of Jamie versus Saraya, I want to see them do Asuka versus Io promo with them being English as possible. Yes, that would be very funny.
My dream of them doing that match is slowly drifting away because I don't know what they're doing with Asuka. Don't know what they're doing with Io either. I just don't know what that company. I don't know.
Jason PS3, that is some dedication to that console, says, when it comes to the draft, it seems that couples will always stick together. So if Becky moves, Seth moves too. I don't think either would move in this case. I think they're both... I mean, who knows? I didn't think Bianca would leave SmackDown, and then they moved her from SmackDown, and she's been on Raw even longer.
Right.
Yeah, Seth has been a Raw guy for a long time. He was briefly on SmackDown, and You saw
They
how
moved him right back.
Yeah, that didn't last very long at all. He's kind of always been a Raw guy for his career, so I don't see him going
Up
anywhere.
until 2021, he was like the only person who had never traded brands. He was like the guy. Everybody else had been swapped at some point, but Seth Rollins was Raw, and then 2021 they swapped him. Or no, that was 2020 they swapped him. In 2021 they moved him right back, and hasn't been moved since. Eloquent says, what happened to Tegan Knox? Look, you can ask that question about everybody they brought back.
Great question. Who knows?
Yeah.
Nobody was on SmackDown last night that they brought back.
Yeah. The thing that's the biggest head scratcher for me is Gargano, because I just don't understand how they're booking this guy right now. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I understand.
Marcus Ryan says Aussie Open versus FTR, book it TK. I mean, look, I think Aussie Open and Grizzled Young Veterans are two guys that Tony Khan needs to be looking at. I know Grizzled Young Veterans they requested their release. It hasn't been granted as far as we know.
They said, nah, bro, go beyond level up.
Yeah, they wrestled level up this week, but
I don't watch NXT, so that's not one of those things I try to harp on, but turning Zach Gibson into that is disgusting. When Zach Gibson first came in and he was cutting those promos and the reactions he was getting, if you hate Gibson, shoes off and all that stuff, how did you ruin this? This guy was in the picture to be NXT UK World Champion at one point. This is what you got him doing, this goofy, spooky gimmick with Gacy. It's just not good. I'm sorry. It's just not good.
Also have an idea on why that's happening, but you know.
Yeah, those two guys are too good for that stable. I'm sorry. And they were a great tag team. I don't know why they're there. And so if that's part of the reason why they want to leave, because of the creative, I totally get it.
Right.
Derek Gordon says, I may be the only one, but I'm tired of the wrestler turns on their friend storyline. Tease it, maybe, but Jamie Britt should not turn on each other. Do something different. That could be a story. I can agree with that. I think that it is
I
kind of
think they
tired now.
maybe might have moved past that being the hottest part of their little angle together. So I don't know if they even need to do the turn anymore at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely a tired trope. We see it way too much.
Yeah.
Let's see. Corey says Massachusetts is home game for Mello. That's true.
True.
Orion Ben 666 says, so it's official. Dawkins called the Choo Choo Braun, or killed the Choo Choo Braun.
Killed the Choo Choo Braun. He did. Big hit.
Yeah. Wrestle Park says Jay White had a terrible debut. Bullet Club is lame. AEW needs more storylines, not meaningless matches. I mean, do they not have storylines going right now? Because I feel like between the Pillar story and the Big Faction story, they have stories going right now. I don't think any of them.
Troll money, bro. We'll take your troll money some more.
No, honestly, like genuine. I don't feel like what matches this week do you find meaningless? Genuine question.
But that other super chat before that was also Cap. He had a pretty good return, and I don't know.
I think the camera did miss. I would have rather the camera angle been on the stage, and it didn't catch that.
Yeah, regardless of what you think about Bullet Club at the moment, Bullet Club has more staying power than most stables. The fact that it's been around this long is
it's still going.
and the amount of like careers that it's reinvigorated. Like I don't know if people remember what Kenta was doing before he joined Bullet Club, and how the New Japan crowd was not into him, and now it's night and day.
Yeah, I guess I disagree with this idea that that stories and matches, I mean, that there's not stories being built right now because there's plenty of them. But I also disagree with the idea. I fully disagree with this, and I will disagree with this in every regard, that every match needs a storyline. Fully disagree with that, because there's no logic behind that idea. That if you were heading up a sport, again, if we look at the logic of professional wrestling and look at it contextually within the kayfabe realm, you have week-to-week football games, right? You don't necessarily go, well, the Seattle Seahawks are playing the Jets because they hate each other, or because he said this about this guy backstage, so now we're going to have this football game. That doesn't make any sense. At some point, yes, grudge matches exist. And I think ultimately when you get to pay-per-views, things along those lines, you typically want to have a reason. You either want to have a grudge or you want to have a title on the line, things along those lines. But on week-to-week TV, sometimes it's just a match. And the thing is, that happens all the time. That literally we just saw, what was it, Cody Rhodes versus Ludwig Kaiser? Like, that was a match that had no story. It was just Cody Rhodes facing somebody. And that's okay. And it was a good match. You can do that, and it can be done in lieu to other things. And I think that this idea that, oh, why is this match happening? Like, stop asking that question. They'll answer that. Watch the match, and then you'll see it. And I think that it's, again, answering for Stealing Redmond's statement here in the chat, saying sometimes the match itself can be the story.
That's the story.
Yes,
fully agree with that.
Yeah,
and
not to rehash into Cody losing is stupid, but I think that's one of the other things that makes this weird is that weekly television was so exciting when Cody was like coming out of Royal Rumble and he had all that momentum. He was having good matches. He was coming out and he was cutting good promos. It was just like a electric energy around the show that is just not there anymore. And I feel like this is really a bad decision, man. Like, I don't know why they did this.
Right.
Like, just continuing on the storytelling thing and how I don't think people using the word storytelling know what they're talking about when they use it in this regard. Look, my favorite story-based episode of Monday Night Raw was from November 6, 2000. It is a very heavily story-based episode of the show. There's a thread that goes through the entire show that has an incredible ending that I think is one of the all-time greatest. And it's the story. There's multiple story threads in that show that are not tied together, but by the end of the show, it all comes together as one thread. I think it's one of the best pieces of storytelling ever. Also on that show, The Undertaker faced Val Venus. I'm just saying, not every match, not everything.
Hello, ladies.
Not every single match on a show needs a storyline. And nobody was sitting around going, well, Undertaker, Val Venus, what's the story? Mm-hmm. Nobody said that. Nobody fucking cared.
Go back and look at a lot of those cards from the Attitude Era. There are a lot of matches that just happened on those cards.
Hell of them matches did not have story. They're just matches that send out Viscera and fucking Midian. It'll be fine. Like, nobody cares.
Again,
just like, cool, Stone Cold's gonna come soon. Who cares?
Yeah, I don't think every match needs a story. And at the same time, as long as the matches are leading to something, and that's because I think it's complete cap if somebody says that, well, there are matches in AEW that don't lead to stuff.
Lies.
Name one. That last week. Yeah. Name one that didn't lead to something or that wasn't a part of something else. Name this week. There's multiple matches announced, and you can see looking at those matches what's leading to stuff. I think it's a horseshit argument.
Right. Oh my God, you just reminded me of something that happened this weekend because I said name them, and it got a huge pop. I was in the press box with one Louis Dangor. I saw him twice over at WrestleMania weekend. And so I was walking around talking to random people. Shout out to my homie Alex McCarthy, great guy. Had us on Talk Sport before our podcast launched.
Yep.
And I walk up and he was like, he goes, yeah, what do you like? You could tell they were all looking at Louis, like, because he dropped a Louis take and said Louis take was. Never mind. I won't say what the take was. But said Louis take was bad, and my response to it was, "What? Name them?" And everybody just like popped at this, and so that's what made me think about it. I won't put that take on here because I don't want to make it seem like we're dunking on Louis here. I don't dislike Louis, man.
But we got a bunch more to go though.
This take was bad.
We had a bunch more to go. Halabasana says, all in, return of Stadium Stampede, Mayhem, Fireworks, Ibushi. I mean, we heard Kota Ibushi this week. I know Kota Ibushi said this week is where his ideal signing is, and that's where he wants to be. So I think it's just a matter of making the right deal happen.
Where I wanna be.
It's ideal for us too, Kota. Pull up AEW. Don't go to those other places.
Come on, man. Go lovers. We want it.
Return of Stadium Stampede. That'd be the place to do it. I don't know if the feud can go that much longer, considering it's in effect right now. It's hot right now, and we're still 5 months away from All In. I don't know. But there's a lot you can do. Let's see. Black Phoenix Brand says, we focused a lot on who beats Roman and how that's jumped the shark, but there's still the question of who beats Jade. I think at this point it's not as impressive for... Damn it, it got cut off there. But I get what you're saying there.
It's not imperative for what?
Or it's not imperative. It's not as imperative for... and yeah, I get what you're kind of getting at there. I think if they are kind of holding off for Chris Statlander, that's... God, she's almost been gone a year. And we saw her. She was
I wish people would stop saying Chris Statlander. Let this woman heal. Every time somebody's like, "What about a belt?" Chris Statlander's going to be the one to beat her. Why are you saying that? Nobody knows that.
She was at Revolution, by the way, and it was nice to see her. She was at the bowling, the bowling event, and she was with best friends, and it was all really cool to see them all together again. I enjoyed that. We got another one from.
I was just gonna say, I think you still got to build the person to beat Jamie, or not Jamie, but Jade, because like I think the big difference with the Roman thing is you had somebody, you had the layup right there. You don't have a ready-made person to put that belt on for Jade yet.
Right. I still think it's Willow, to be honest. I think Willow, what is she 0-2 against her now? But like you could do a third time's a charm type thing with her.
Right.
Wonga says, good day, Grapsody crew. The 3-way women's title match on New Japan was great. Shout out to my local fellas. Aussie Open on getting them belts, and hopefully Fletcher's head is okay.
Yeah, cut looked nasty.
Let's see. We got another one. D-Lo Dig says, man, I don't know what made me more mad. The WWE booking of Dallas pissing it down their leg the last 2 months.
Bo Dallas?
I don't know. Jennifer said, love you, gents. Sitting at an eye appointment, so can't catch live. Hope you have an amazing show. Thank you, Jennifer. Always appreciate you for the support. No Name says, happy Saturday, Grapsody gents. What do you guys think of rappers like YNJ and Rio the Young OG?
I don't know what any of those words are, or those letters put together.
I don't know
YNJ.
Yeah, I don't either.
Sorry. We're old over here. I know about Curtis Blow.
That was one of the first CDs I ever stole from my older brother, by the way, though, was Curtis Blow.
Of course.
But that it was Fresh Prince and Curtis Blow were the 2 CDs I stole from my older brother. And because he's way older than me, that's the rap he grew up with. Yeah. And I still think, by the way, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, Home Base, is a dope album. I just listened to it again on my most recent road trip. Very good album.
Yeah.
I've
never liked people that are like, Will is not a good rapper. Like, I've never liked that take. I've always stinky take.
Opening track on the very album I just mentioned shuts that down.
The guy was so good of a rapper, they gave him a TV show. Like, hey, you got to be something for that. Come on.
I know, and like a TV show based off Benny Medina's life that like nobody associates with Benny Medina anymore. Like he's listed as executive producer and everything because it was actually his life.
Nobody cared about Benny. It's all about Jazzy Jeff.
Will's told the story that Benny Medina came to him and was like, "Hey, listen, I want you to star in a show about my life. I grew up, I was taken out of my home and was put. I had to live with my rich family, and that's how I grew up, and I want to tell that story, and you're going to play me." And he was originally, because I think Benny said he was from South Central LA, and they changed and moved to Bel Air, which makes way more sense. Yeah. But Will himself is from Philly, so they were like, all right, we'll switch that up.
Philly.
Yeah. But yeah, Benny Medina was from South Central LA and had to move in with his Beverly Hills family.
Shout out to Bianca posting that Bel Air and Bel Air picture.
That was dope.
That was dope.
I like that.
Still a good show. I've been waiting for it to like drop in quality.
I'm waiting for there to be some kind of consequences in that show. I've seen every episode, and I'm like, there's like no consequence for anything here. Like you think it's all gonna lead to something, and then you're like, nope. It's like nothing with Hillary, I feel, is going anywhere. It feels like she just keeps like it seems like it's all kind of close in on her. And then, nope, she's fine. It all worked out.
It just hasn't happened yet, is my guess.
I suppose. Also, I feel like Jackie in the original Fresh Prince, and granted, they never got to finish the Jackie story because Tyra Banks left the show, but I thought Jackie had brought such an interesting element to the original Fresh Prince. And for those who don't know Jackie's story, of course, it was that Jackie was from Philly. And of course, when Will got shipped off to live in Bel Air, Will never told her where he went, and she was a close friend of his. So when she showed up at in college and they happened to meet up with each other again, and she's like, you left, you never called, you never said a word. And so she was an interesting part of Will's story because she was like, she was a part of his home story. And I thought that was an interesting element to add to the original Fresh Prince. And then Tyra Banks left. They introduced a character named Jackie to this season who has like none of that. It's just like, oh, here's just another character, and we're just gonna pop you with a nostalgia reference by calling her Jackie. And I'm like, yeah, but she has none of Jackie's elements that made her interesting to Will. This is just a character named Jackie. And sometimes, like, it's a good show. I still like it, and I'm still like into like what's going on with Jeffrey and all that. I think Phil's a good character. Carlton's become way more endearing this season, but yeah, I just feel like every episode I'm like, nothing happened. We didn't like do anything. We're just back where we started. There's no consequences in this show.
Well, not to spoil it for people that haven't seen it, but I feel like you saying there are no consequences. We just got an episode where consequences from the first season came back to haunt Carlton because that clip came back of him dancing to Bobby Shmurda in the locker room, popped back up, and he got in trouble.
Oh, I didn't see this episode, so
spoiler alert.
Okay, that would be a consequence. Okay, so we'll see.
I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, Carlton was definitely wilding in the locker room, dancing to Bobby Shmurda and
with all them white folks. Yeah,
he was wilding.
Let's see. Hey, Grapsody fam. Hope all is well with everyone. What was y'all's favorite match from WrestleMania Night 1 and 2? Also, how was that? How about that 3-way last night at New Japan Sakura Genesis? Mercedes, and it got cut off there. But he says Mercedes is killing it over there. Yeah, Night 1, my match of the night for Night 1 is the main event, and Night 2 was the triple threat.
Both 5 stars.
The
2 5-star matches. Yeah,
basically the same for me.
That's right. Dave did 5-star both those matches. I just literally named the matches he 5-star. I'm not saying that because Dave said it. I felt that at the time.
Don't let him fool you guys. We knows what he does.
Yeah, I wait for the observer to have my opinions. That's
yeah. I do think, despite the build, that both the women's title matches were very good.
They're very good. Honestly, I think the women's, like, even though I don't think it needed the main event, I think it was very good. Because lots of times the match of the night doesn't main event. WrestleMania 21's match of the night was Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels. It's not the main event, but it's still a phenomenal match.
Yeah, Charlotte showed out. I mean, as much as Charlotte gets a lot of heat online, Charlotte does perform usually. I didn't like the WrestleMania match last year, but most of her WrestleMania resume is good.
I think it is weird, though, that they keep doing this thing where, like, Charlotte loses and just disappears. And then, like, comes back and wins the title.
Yes.
That better not be the idea they have again.
I hope not. That'd be awful for Rhea if that's what's going to happen. Or Bianca. Shit, I don't know.
Let's see. Trey Cash says, what's good, fellas? This is AEW's best chance to gain ground on WWE, and Punk Elite feud done right could do for AEW what NWO did for WCW. The roster is finally at full health. Finally bring Punk back. We'll see. I don't know what when that could be, but I think they won't announce United Center without him. That's just my gut feeling.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's see. Life of Deem says, happy Saturday, Grapsody. I was in Long Island for AEW. It was an amazing show. The way I started laughing and rapping when Many Men came on definitely made people in my section look at me crazy.
You deserved it, Dean. I'm hoping you had a great time out there.
Hope you had a good time. Joseph Snurk says, I feel like Charlotte's moment after the match with Rhea felt too much like Sasha's moment after her match with Bianca. It felt forced. I agree with that.
Charlotte was trying to get her shit off for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say it feels forced, but she's done this thing twice where she's like, ha, 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 you got me, kid. And it's like, just you could just sell the match too as well.
That's it.
Yeah. Let's see. Tobster says, Grapsody, can we get a speculation from all three of you for a pack match at All In? Like I said, I said MJF. What do you guys think?
Pack and All In. I could see him against.
If you're not gonna run Kenny Ospreay versus Pac does sound really good.
Mm-hmm. Ospreay and Pac. That would.
I mean, we've already seen that match for before. I mean, most people haven't seen it. It happened on an indie before, but I would love to see it there.
I tweeted the other day. You guys think this is finally when we get Zack Sabre Jr. and Bryan Danielson at All In?
No, I think we get that. I mean,
I
would say just go for Forbidden Door.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was supposed to be Forbidden Door last year. I say just do it this year.
But Bryan and Zack Sabre in that stadium, though? We've been waiting for this match for a long time.
But I feel like because this is a strictly AEW promoted show, I think that they're going to want to do more AEW matchups.
Gotcha. Yeah,
versus...
Bryan and Pac then. All right, let's do it. Shit.
That's a good one, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But speaking of Zack Sabre Jr., I was not a huge fan of that new television belt. It looks like a toaster.
It does. It looks kind of like an old TV. An old TV. I see what they're going for. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I was not a fan of that belt, but it has produced some incredibly good matches. Like all of the matches so far have been hidden. I thought the match last night with Shota.
It does look like a toaster. No,
I like that. Yeah. I like the time limit thing. It adds an extra.
Yeah, I really like the concept of those matches, and I think Zack Sabre is doing really well with that stipulation. That match with Shota last night was really good, and it reminded me that Shota's on his way. He's not there yet. There was a spot in that match where he did the Death Rider, and I was like, he's gonna do it, and he just couldn't pull it out. But it's coming.
We got a couple more, and then we'll wrap. Shot Kid says, catching up on Sakura Genesis, and my God, Mercedes is a queen. Fingers crossed. We one day get Mercedes versus Kana. Can only imagine what those two would do without WWE constraints.
Yes.
I've already told you. Get out of that company. I'm ready.
Let's see. We got another from Corey David. Says, do you see Finn or AJ in AEW? Not at this stage. I think AJ's...
Yeah, I think AJ's wrapping it up.
Same.
And I mean, Finn at this point, Finn's in his 40s. I think Finn's comfortable. I don't see him going nowhere.
Right.
Caden says, Red, you the new leader of the Gunn fan club?
Come on. Yes.
Abstract Dogma says, do you guys have any thoughts on Melly Mel's take?
No, we can't be listening to Melly Mel. He be wilding out here. He's an OG. He can speak on anything he wants. Just let him say it.
I didn't see what he
said. I'm sure he said something wild. Just ignore. Plan ignore.
Jake says, remember when the Goofy Goobers on Twitter thought Jay White was Uncle Damn Howdy?
Oh, yeah. That was
People
wild.
really thought that?
Yeah,
Some thought he could be.
I saw a couple people saying that.
I mean, that was one of those like shrug, like no one said not a chance. Scott Scoop says, trying to get into AEW again. It's been solid, but I got turned off a while ago because sometimes it seemed petty. Any advice on getting back into it? I mean, I don't know. I think that the cool thing about wrestling is you can just kind of pick back up. I don't necessarily see any of the, I guess, if any of the pettiness bugged you. I haven't seen any of that lately. Like, I haven't seen a WWE reference on TV lately.
Depends on what you mean by petty.
Yeah.
I mean, are you talking...
some of this Thunder Rosa stuff is kind of...
yeah.
I mean, but you're actually also seeing that play out on All Access, which I watched this week.
You watched it?
Yeah, I watched this week's show. And, I mean, this seemed like a Sammy Guevara redemption show.
Remember, I told you guys that they're trying to make Sammy Guevara to be like the fucking hero in the show, and I don't know if people are going to be...
It definitely seemed like
work, Tony.
I don't think so. Yeah,
it definitely felt like a redemption arc for him, and like everything. Like they showed him apologizing to Eddie Kingston,
which was TV magic as fuck. I tell
TV
you.
magic.
God.
Yeah, and Eddie
Why are you
Kingston
guys setting up these scenarios, man? We don't believe you. We need more people.
I mean, it is making me wonder though, like, because I don't believe reality TV, and like I know having investigated all of this and talked to people, that the stuff that happened with Sammy Guevara and Eddie Kingston, all that backstage was legit.
Yeah.
But there's this reality TV piece of me that's like, or were you making an angle for a reality show?
Man. Every time they do something on the show, I'm like, oh, you guys are fooling us. Because even with the Thunder and Britt stuff, it's like, well, it looks like they're setting up for them to have a match again. Is that where this is all leading to? Like, is that the end of the show? Is that the end of the season? The big reveal is, I'm back. Thunder Rosa's back. So I'm like, oh, this reality show.
I think it's leading to them teaming up. That's right.
Teaming up.
I think he's gonna join the Homegrowns.
Oh, okay.
Either way, it is interesting. Well, we got these last two, and then we got to go. But I agree with the idea that everybody's saying Eddie on All Access makes it worth it. It does. Eddie is like the best part. Eddie Kingston just showing his I don't give a fuck attitude is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Corey David says, how about Seth and AEW? Also, opinion on Dragon Lee. Seth, maybe. That's a maybe I could see. And
I think Seth could work in AEW. But I think he's going to have to get over the company guy thing that a lot of AEW fans have hated him for the last few years.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be a hard hump for him to get over.
Let's see. And finally, Anime Otaku says, did you see who Dalton Castle had as boys on New Japan?
I didn't.
Who was it? Didn't see
No,
it.
I didn't. Somebody tell me in the chat real quick. We'll answer this
Right,
and then we gotta go. Answer in the chat, guys.
Answer us.
And Jake Salazar says William Regal got to be sick right now. Love to see it. Look, I don't know what was up with Regal on Twitter this week.
I know what was up with him. Nigel McGuinness got a motherfucking contract and came and did exactly what he thought he was going to be doing, but Nigel's doing it instead.
Huh?
Nigel McGuinness.
And he's saying it was
Tana
and Taguchi as the boys. Okay. All right, folks. That is it for this edition of Grapsody. Thank you for being here with us. I'll be back tomorrow podcasting on After the Week with Denise Salcedo, and then I'll be back on Wednesday with another edition of Day After Dynamite. Shout out this past week's show. The show did great numbers this week, and I had SP3 on. But other than that, folks, anything last words for you guys?
See you next week. I don't know. I'm tired.
Yeah. Stop fighting over this Cody thing on Twitter. It's a dumb decision. Yeah. And it's okay to feel like it's a bad decision. It's okay if you like it too. Stop fighting over it.
Yes. All right.
Thank
folks,
y'all.
We'll see you next time. Have a great day. Peace.